Y'all hear me all right? The big man speaketh. Can't hear a damn thing. Oh, they can hear me. It's just you.
There we go. Okay, I think that should do it. I think you guys can hear me now. It looks like on my screen y'all can hear me. There we go. What happens is because Freak and I share this account, it unhooks my microphone every time we swap back and forth with who has who's running the show. So yeah, I just have to resync my microphone. But anyways, that is the kind of technical thing that should happen behind the scenes, but your Wolf Brother is so good with computers. What is up, beautiful people? It's your Wolf Brother, Mythos Kushonata from the channel Frost and Fist, and I am here with the amazing, the knowledgeable, the talented, the list building supreme, the Gamecraft Dragon.
Sup?
Oh man.
And the reason it works that way, Mythos, is because you're a Wolf Lord, not an Iron Priest.
I am definitely not an Iron Priest. Poking it, tap it with the butt of my knife, tink tink tink. Trying to make it work. So in case I think everybody in the chat is knows the both of us, but just to refresh for anyone who may not know, who is the Gamecraft Dragon and what kind of gamer is he?
Well, I'm Big D. I'm one of 3 people on my channel, the Gamecraft Dragon. I have been playing tabletop games for 40 years. I've been playing Warhammer off and on for almost 30. My channel, Gamecraft Dragon, here on YouTube, I build stuff more often in the past than not. Lately, I've been focusing a lot more on just pure 40K talk and news, talking about list building and talking about what's going on in the competitive scene. But I am trying to get back to doing more stuff. So
stuff is good. He does a great live show every Tuesday. I recommend everyone check it out. But he's also got a wealth of information on building terrain up on his channel. And actually, that's where I started watching his channel, is because he had some really cool terrain builds that I wanted to check out. And he was also, of course, one of the recipients of the TMP gift box that was being sent around to different gamers in the community. And we kind of connected that way, so...
Yeah, I went from TMP to you to Nick at IDICBeer, and then it came to me, and I sent it back over to Captain Morgan over in CM Wargaming.
Looking forward to his next milestone, so that way we can keep that tradition rolling, baby.
Oh yeah.
The astute amongst you will have noticed we are lacking a Freak tonight. Brother Freak desperately needs some rest, which he may not even get. He's had a hell of a couple weeks with work, and he's covering for several people right now, doing multiple people's jobs. He's actually work on call again tonight for like the 3rd or 4th week in a row, and so he might even be working right now. So this man is definitely, he's been overworked, very much burnout at this point, and he just needs some time to rest. So, you know, we all send a whole bunch of big loves to our IT master brother there, who's doing his best to keep the networks going. We've got some brilliant people in the chat tonight, such as the Pale Orc, who says, "My Wolf Brothers." And you know what? I am actually going to be doing some Wolf Brother stuff tonight when we do, as we do some hobby tonight, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. Bofnet, you are up so early or late. Good morning, my brother. I got Hobby Time with HP, also up super early, my brother Heinrich.
I don't think he knows what sleep is.
We've got Brother Archer in the chat, our smash captain, and helping me out with some technical stuff. We've got our Hellworks by Hellchild, who is rebranding and working on his new logo, and eventually, going to be looking at getting his start here on the YouTubes. Also,
really, that's awesome to hear.
Also,
about kit bashing.
Yeah, I love his kit bashes, and definitely want to see him actually put the video how he brings these crazy creations together. Big loves to Freak, that poor bastard. Absolutely. Late, still on the drunken buzz from the pub. That sounds like a great Friday night, my brother. That sounds like a great Friday night. So, Hellworks, also a big shout out to, hoping he gets feeling better soon, because he has been currently laid up and is working on getting better. And if anybody has talked to Hellworks for any length of time before, Hellchild doesn't do anything laying down. He doesn't let anything hold him down. Usually, no sickness, no wound will keep that man from being up and about. He's always got to constantly be doing something, usually 5 or 6 different things. So for him to be feeling bad enough to be knocked down on his tail, that's a heck of an illness. So I hope he gets to feel better. Got to keep him motivated enough to put out videos. Exactly. We got Who Took My Dice Miniature Wargaming, who has had a new breath of life on his channel recently, putting out videos every single Monday and some shorts in between. It sounds odd to say he's putting out shorts in between, but whatevs. The YouTube shorts, not the OnlyFans kind.
Or the Chippendales kind. You guys have picked up a third member to your dance group.
Yeah, I was listening to Brother Rob's stream earlier tonight from the Miniatures Paintbrush, and he and Shameless were talking about joining us on the Chippendale stage. Of course, Brother Shameless is Delicious, and Brother Rob's dancer name is going to be Clubber Lubber.
It's a lot of love to be had there. It's like Magic Mike, but with a horror movie.
Who Took My Dice says, "You love my shorts." That I do. All right,
quality content.
Exactly. So, my brother, what are you working on tonight? You got some hobby going. What you got for a poke chat?
I have a big tournament. I didn't say a big tournament. I have a tournament this weekend. And I was working with some buddies of mine to refine my list, and it came down to that I needed a couple units that I did not have. And I didn't have the ability to go get the models for them either. So I kit bashed together 10. So I have 2 5-man squads of Wolfguard with Shield and Claw.
Very nice.
On jump packs. So I got some 30k jump packs that I had lying around, and some 30k claws I had around, and some 30k shields, and some bits from the bits box, and I threw 10 of these guys together. I finished up the paint job on the 5 old school metal Terminators I had. I finally finished up their paint job.
Very nice.
And a second squad of Eradicators to finish rounding out the army I want to run this weekend. So I found out about this tournament on Saturday.
That looks really
Sunday.
Good.
And yeah, I had to get these guys built and painted up, and I'm just finishing up rimming the bases, and then I'm going to throw some Valhalla Blizzard on some of the bases, and we will be all set.
That's awesome. The Dave says, today I ordered some yellow Bad Moon dice. I designed the 6's face by myself, so suck on that, GW. Dave is sticking it to the man. Pale Orc says, how many of them are printed? Asking for a friend.
Let me tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you. Bodies, none. I picked up 2 of these a while back for dirt cheap. And
great value.
There's like 25 Marines in there. I haven't built them all. They basically form the basis of what they are. It's those bodies. The backpacks, the jetpacks, those are printed. Some of the shields are printed. Most of it's just plastic. Come out of a couple kits. My bits box got rated hard.
Nice.
What you got there? Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yep. And Wandering Kender, my lovely roommate, the Wandering Kender, is hooking me up because even though I have my vaccinations and I know social distancing and I wash my hands and all that, 20 some odd people in a small building makes me a little nervous. So
understandably,
she's making me a brand new mask, and she made me a shirt to match for me to go to this mission. So I'll be rocking a Space Wolf shirt with a bunch of inspirational on the back and a mask to match it. So
that's awesome.
It's gonna be a good time.
If I ever expanded to Primaris Marine stuff, it's all getting printed. F paying GW prices in Australia. Man, I mean, yeah, down under, from what I understand, you guys have to give away your firstborn to get GW products. So I understand.
If I lived in Australia, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there'd be considering I got in 30 years ago and the prices like that back then, I don't know if I would have been interested in getting into it at that point. Because I mean, I'm willing to pay a little bit extra for stuff. And I mean, US, it can be pricey, but it's manageable if you don't go nuts. I mean, when I'm hearing box prices for like what they consider their deal prices on boxes over there, I'm like, I'm gonna play Badlands because I can just buy one book and do a bunch of junk to Hot Wheels cars.
That Kill Team box is $300 in Australia.
Oh,
HUNNIT, 300.
Oh.
Whew. Whew.
I mean, the only $300 box we've had in the States that I can remember was that Necromunda box that had a metric butt ton.
Are you sure it was a metric butt ton, or that might have been Imperial?
Well, it's either a...
Also, that reminds me, us measuring stuff by butt tons reminds me of that meme of Americans. They'll measure in anything but metric system.
Well, I'd tell you what the Imperial equivalent to a metric butt ton is, but I don't want to get you demonetized.
So, we were talking about who took my dice's shorts earlier. Why, hello there. Kaiju Shorts jumped up and said, did somebody say shorts?
Jesus!
Kaiju, my brother from down under.
The man that my wife makes me feel uncomfortable about.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I'm not going to lie. The man is a knockout. Anyways.
Oh.
What gets me is that the kits do not come with minimum weapons. All the Orc Killer cans come with one big shooter, one can claw, and one of each thing in the box. And just one of the shooter and the claw, and two
Honestly,
of the claw.
That was one of the biggest reasons I got a 3D printer. Not to print full models, but just to print bits to even out builds and even out kits.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many rage stories that people have of, man, the way that, and obviously the old kits were not designed for like optimization, surely, right? Because they were like, let's give them a couple of options, but you know, like for optimization, we're like, we need 10 of this thing in a box, right? And obviously they didn't. They either didn't consider it at the time, or they're like, if these guys want 5 Thunderhammers, they're gonna have to buy 5 boxes.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing that drove me crazy about my first pack of Thunderwolves. It's like, why is there only 2 Thunderhammers in this box?
You know we want to go all Thunderhammers.
Yeah, there's 3 guys, and there's 2 Thunderhammers. Well, damn. I had to go hunting.
How did the drones come out, Big D?
They came out awesome. Unfortunately, they're buried over here. I printed them out. They look awesome, Orc. They really do. I want to get pictures of them taken and put together. But again, this last couple of weeks, go ahead, let me see it. These last couple of weeks have been just stupidly crazy between... What do you think, Nate?
Oh, that looks awesome. I love that black and red together.
Yeah. Gallagher's Blood Mains. That
looks great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Just put it with the t-shirt.
Beautiful work, Kender.
All right, anyhow, like I was saying, it's just, I mean, I've got this tournament that came up, and I'm like, I gotta play. I haven't been able to play in tournaments. The tournament scene in Milwaukee's been kind of dead. So I'm like, I got an option to play in a tournament that's going to have a good turnout. I got to go there. I've been doing, as you know, I've been doing build commissions for a local game store. Like they've literally, the owner of the store wants armies, and so that he plays himself, and he wants to be able to have whatever army to play. And there's like 4 guys that all own the store, so he wants to have them all be able to play whatever armies they want to play on demand. So but they don't have the time to build this stuff. So they commissioned me to build it all. And I'm right now in the midst of building like 4,000 points in Orcs. And then I've still got a little bit of Eldar left to do. I just built 3,000 points in Sisters. And then I got commissioned to paint this Sisters army. So it's just been... I love Orc stuff. I mean, that little tank, I've got that sitting around here someplace. His little grot tank.
Those grot tanks look so good.
That grot tank is hilarious. I love this thing. I'm going to have 3 of them. I don't care. There's going to be 3 of them in every army I play just because they are hilarious. I love the look of figures. I mean, Mythos, you know this. I don't care about optimization all the time, especially when I'm playing with the guys. I want to play my cool models.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that's why in almost every army I play in, that Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf you gave me, that is in my army every time. It's just, you know, I like good-looking models, and these tanks are just gorgeous. The little drones are great. I didn't like the stands, but I don't like any of the stands. I do my own stands for anything like that, because I just don't like the GW stands or the weird looking stands. I found a method that works for me, so but
he says 3, go for 3 units of 6 and really make them suffer. Just like, can you imagine just deep striking all those tiny tanks with all mega cannons? Just pew 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 pew.
Well, I'd probably put machine guns on them all. Can you imagine that?
With the new DACA rule.
The new DACA rules, just boom. Oh God!
And then call a wah, and then just unload.
I do say, Mr. Bond, wah. Yes, wah.
Oh man, that would be really cool. That brings me kind of to my work this week. I've done a lot of Orc stuff this week, and I'm going to start out with a shout out to Gear Guts Mech Shop, because I put together this week. Well, I assembled it last week, but I painted in one day this amazing mech gun from them, and I just really love it. It's a really cool design that looks similar enough. You're trying to, put it next to your Games Workshop version, it looks similar enough that, it fits in. You know how sometimes when you mix models from different companies, they kind of clash when you put them all together.
Yeah.
But this one fits in real well, and I just love the way it came out. So
now, did you buy the model or did you buy the STL and have Freak print it for you?
Oh no, I bought the model. I always, I pretty much just whenever I get gear stuff, their North American vendor, I just order through.
Okay. Which
they sell from Canada, but it's actually, I mean, you know, they don't. Their shipping price is very cheap. It definitely is not my usual experience with getting models from across the border. Speaking of which, I told Heinrich yesterday that when I got to the game shop, I was going to put out the army on a table top and take pictures of the army there at the game store. Unfortunately, our game went on way too long. We went past closing time, so I need to take out my army this weekend. And I think I'm probably do like a little YouTube short or something like that, and take some pictures of the whole army, because now that I've got, you know, more than 2,000 points, the army I think looks really good together, and I'd love to show people what my orc army is looking like right now. Love that model, Mythos. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, that is a great looking mech gun. So
thank you.
I mean, the paint job's amazing. Absolutely. I mean, I don't even talk about your paint jobs anymore. You make me. You're a brush burner all on your own, you bastard. I mean, I do my Blanchitsu stuff to hide the fact that I'm basically slopping paint on with, you know. Here's my main brush. I put paint on with it. You know, but I mean, you do amazing work. But I gotta say, the modeling part, you hit it right on the head, and that's kind of a hard thing to do, to be able to emulate the GW style without straight up copying it. Because copying it, I mean, then what are you really doing? You're not providing something that I would feel comfortable buying, to be honest. I wouldn't feel comfortable buying something that's just an absolute copy of somebody else's IP. But at the same time, if you're putting out something that's unique, looks good, but still fits, like he said, I'll give you all the money in the world. You know, I mean, that's just, especially when it's cheaper. It's one of the reasons I really, really love Spellcrow.
Spellcrow is fantastic.
I mean, for Imperial Guard, their stuff is so good.
I agree. I love Spellcrow stuff. Played last night against Marines with Gaz, 9 Def Dreads, and a Mega Dread for 1500s. It was hilarious. I also played against Marines at 1500 points last night. And I brought Gaz, and I got crumped. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Because, you know, I happen to have a strategy, man, on right now that I could talk about. Maybe some of the things I failed with, and some of the things that I think, I could have done better, but also some of the things that I found challenging, let's say. I've fallen into the true scale rabbit hole for Firstborn Marines. Man, I think once you get a 3D printer, it is so easy to fall down the true scale rabbit hole. Hey, we got some green in the chat. Who Took My Dice is working on his old school metal war boss right now, which is cool. He was showing that off on his Monday video. And if you're interested in seeing some of the classic treasures from his time working at Games Workshop, including some cool looking classic metal models and some special dice from special events that GW ran, like his Blood Raven dice, I recommend you check out Who Took My Dice's video from this past Monday. Great to see the boys. Thank you, my man. I'm looking forward to seeing them. Super keen to see the orcs. Thank you so much, my brother. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to get crumped. Mythos is a brand of gas we burn our brushes with now. You're too kind, my brother. I'm ordering some fine detail crayons for my NIDS. That is how you know that Kaiju is an artist of culture. The fine detail crayons. That's what I color my minis with. Working on my super secret Gear Guts affiliate Orktober release. It's so good. Oh man, I'm super curious now. Oh, you've set the hook now. I can't wait to see it, my man. Been playing with some stuff for a true scale 30k Thousand Suns army. Nice. we have the lovely and strong personality Ashley in the chat. And you know what? This time I will make no jokes about Greg being tied up in the closet, or having mysterious bruises, or his life being threatened in any way. There'll be none of those jokes from me tonight.
Why did she threaten you too?
I'm not supposed to talk about it. Good to see you, Ash. Thank you for joining us tonight. Also this week, I finished my first squad of Beast Snaggers. And, so pro at the camera, And I think they came out okay. It is not my best work, but admitted, I think it looks good. But honestly, doing troops is never my best work. Like, if I'm honest, I think especially when you're doing a horde army, we all want to get onto the special characters.
I mean, that's the thing. This goes back to one of my earlier things that we've talked about this a lot of times. If I'm looking at a model like this, I'm looking at a special character like this. If I'm looking at an army, I'm looking at it from 3 feet away on the table. That's where it's got to look good.
As kudos to GW. Oh my god, my voice just squeaked so much there. As a kudos to GW, there's so much detail on these. Like, I crank out usually the same day. I can crank out 2-3 boys. If I'm sitting there and spending the whole day painting, which I have done a couple of days with these 10 miniatures here, because I was trying to get everything painted for my game, which I successfully did. I still have one more squad of 10 and the Runt Herder to do, and then I'll be done with the Beast Snagger box. But man, it just felt like I slogged to get through these. And I just think that's just a tribute to how much good detail there is on these Beast Snagger boys, and they've done so much to make them feel at least a little different. Now, granted, it is 2 sets of the same 10, so I mean there is some repetition there, but like out of those 10, they've done so much to make them all feel different that it doesn't feel like true just smashing through assembly line to me. Like, you're going to go to all the same spots for the leather browns and all the same spots for this, that, and the other. I had to work out a scheme of 3 different textures just because, I mean, and this is of course on me because I wanted them to be different. I could just have all said all their pelts are going to be, gray or brown or whatever. But I wanted the scale to be different from the hide to be different from the fur, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I did all the hide in like a rhino skin color. I did all the scales in like a red kind of scale that reminds me of like Rathalos from Monster Hunter. And then I did all the fur in like, kind of the gray and blue Thunderwolf kind of fur.
Gotcha.
So, the trying to do everything different and keep it the same, I think I invested a little more time than I necessarily had to.
That's the one thing about as you get newer with these models. Like, I'm looking at these sisters models that I'm painting up for the guy, and I'm looking at this Redemptor. It's a tank. I just painted up the marine equivalent to it. I painted up a what do you call it? A Predator, like 2 months ago. Yeah, I painted up a Predator for my one army. I painted it up like 2 months ago, and it took me an afternoon because they're not that detailed, and I have a very simple paint scheme. This Castigator, I got the base coat red on this thing, but the amount of detail, the crazy amount of raised surface and detail. I'm gonna be painting this thing I'm gonna be painting just this. This is gonna be like a week or 2 of work just for one Castigator, and I got 2 of these to do.
I feel you, man, and of course this is not a complaint. I appreciate all the detail. but definitely I can feel the difference between how long it took me to get through one squad of 10 versus 10 regular orc boys of the older sculpts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ashley says, what the F? And I said I wasn't going to make those jokes, Ash. I'm trying to, this is the newer, gentler Mythos who is not teasing and hurtful ways. So, we're not going to make those jokes tonight. She says, Greg, how'd you get out of the closet? Oh, man. So, Mythos, your safety word is banana. I thought it was potato. That comes up too frequently. Greg says potato, banana, as long as it scream loudly. So Heinrich says, I could just imagine Mythos squealing like a minion.
Banana. Oh, I did finish one other piece. I was working on my Phobos Librarian. It's kind of hard to see, but I did the sword in like 3 different shades of silver and then gave it a coat of that new
Tesseract
green
Glow?
reactive stuff that GW has, the Gauss reactive or whatever it's called.
Yes, Tesseract Glow. I love that stuff. It looks good.
It looks really good. I mean, there's lots of little depth in this blade, and I did it to his hood as well.
Nice work, man. Are people going to be able to see that on the Gamecraft Dragon Instagrams?
Yeah, I'm actually, when this is all done, the army I'm putting out plans for, I'm going to put the entire army down on my board. The whole this tournament is so cool that I'm going to, because it's not just about just smashing the other players. We're going to be taking a quiz at the beginning of the tournament to see our general knowledge about GW rules and game rules. There's getting points for that. In between the second and third round, when we're let go for lunch, all the models are going to be set up on display boards. And the 5 judges are going to go around and rate your display, and you'll earn points for all the different things you can do with your display and for your models. And then there's also like 10 points just for being there on time and having everything you need, both your books, your dice, everything. So they're approaching this as a, yes, it's an ITC, and yes, if you smash, you'll get your ITC points, but we also want to make sure it's rounded out and it's for all gamers, because they haven't been able to have an event in 2 years. So they're super excited to get their gaming cycle back up. So that was the other thing. And I showed this to you before the show, but that's the other thing I spent this week doing. I built a display board for my ice howlers.
Love it. Love it.
So, nice frozen lake, snow and cracked glacier around it, some rocks coming out of it from glacier pushed rocks.
I love it because I've seen your tutorial for the frosted ice bases you do for your space wolves.
Yeah.
And so I know that they're gonna look real nice sitting on that board. Are you doing any texture for the white of the board, like
you couldn't see it because it's glossy. It's all cracked. It's all cracked and ripped up, and there's sheets of ice that are literally like knee high to some models that are at angles and ripped up. It looks like this lake is like just kind of like a fissure of ice and snow that's come ripping out of the rest of it. So yeah, it's all cracks and glacier stuff.
That's perfect.
I found this amazing texture paste that's paper based, so it sticks to anything. It can dry on anything. It dries in about 2 hours. I've got another bottle of it here, but I got it at Michael's, because it's from Ranger Distribution. It's their Distress Crackle paste. They make it for people that do like scrapbooking.
Oh yeah.
You just wipe a little bit on there and it just gets this little crackle effect. Well, you put it in a little thicker than just paper thin, and suddenly you've got glacier-sized cracks coming all over the place. So,
actually, I come to think of it, I think that is definitely a pro tip, because I think I've seen Sam, formerly of Wargamer Online, he uses that same product for his permafrost bases.
well, I mean,
So
when you can get like 4 or 5 ounces of it, it's like the size of it's the jar itself is probably about the size of a cap for a spray can, and it's $3.99. I mean,
oh man, that is
yeah, I mean, definitely. It might be $4.99. It's still ridiculously cheap.
there's so many bananas in the chat. Everybody using their safe word. It's funny.
I think they're expecting something of you, Mythos.
Oh,
I got dimes.
Oh, it's not for me. It's not for me.
Are you telling me she's got the whole green stuff ruled makes a neat frost effect texture? They have a roller. I keep experimenting. I found because I did my one frost texture, like Mythos was talking about. I did my one frost texture tutorial a couple of years back. It's crazy to believe that was 2 years ago that I did that tutorial.
Wow. Can't believe I watched it 2 years ago.
I have refined that process like 3 or 4 times. And I'll show it off here. The effect I get, I think this is the best one that came out of the ones I made this batch. But it really...
very nice. That actually is coming through real well.
Yeah, I've just refined. I keep refining it and finding better ways to do it. And I'll tell you what. The big thing I gotta say about Green Stuff Rolled Out, and I know I've been saying this for 2 years at least. If nothing else, I love their washes. They have a set of ink washes, and I use their blue to do these bases now. Because that blue, they have this cool blue, I don't even know what they call it, but it comes in their basic ink wash pack. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous blue. You put it over a glossy white, it just goes down the cracks at these little spots here and then other places. Dry brush a little white on top of it, put another layer of gloss on it, and it looks gorgeous.
And I know I've heard a few tutorial experts, including Rob from Miniatures Paintbrush, but a couple others as well, talk about the intensity wood from that set. How they typically just do a zenithal, and then they just go straight over the wood with that intense wood ink, and that's a great granular wood effect.
Yeah. But at the same time, doing that crackle effect, I wish Commodore was here. He could tell me the name of the company. But they produced an STL of a crackle base. That's an STL. That's a printed base.
Oh, wow.
And they've got 20 different bases in 25 millimeter. So Ray is doing his Imperial Guard to be from an Iceworld, because his Imperial Guard are from Fenris. So he's doing their bases similar to mine, and he's just printing these out and then taking he's taking one of the contrasts. There's a blue contrast that's just terrible. It's just a terrible contrast.
The Aethermatic, right?
Yes.
I know we've talked about that one before.
It's a terrible contrast, but it's a great wash. So and it makes the job really easy. You just you gloss it, you put that on, and you're done pretty much.
That's awesome.
And you get a slightly greener blue to it, so it's more like, hey, it's Ice by the Sea or something. So it works out.
Hellwork says he's heard of that distress paint you were talking about.
Yeah.
From what I hear, it's good stuff all around.
Oh, and that's the thing. I love when you can, Mythos, black craft paint. I listen to you. these rims look amazing. They're really super matte and super black. 2 coats and they look like they're solid. And that's just Lady D doesn't mess around. She went and got me the real black paint.
The real black paint. Very nice.
Got me a 1-liter jug.
Yeah, you thin that stuff down a little bit and it goes a long way, and it's like just the best matte black for general purpose. I mean,
yeah,
as long as you're doing like all of the stuff you should be doing to get your paint to stick anyways, you know, priming, varnishing, all that good stuff. But yeah, I've never had a problem with it.
Well, I did all these rims. They're all done now and they look great. I mean, time to throw some snow down, but
he says that the Aethermatic is solid. Oh, he, as an archer, says it's great for lenses and power weapon effects. I can never get good enough coverage for power weapon effects, but again, I probably just haven't experimented with it enough.
I can see with the power weapon effects, if you do the power weapon underneath it in like silvers, or just grays and blacks, so you're using it to just shade it again, like a what do you call it? Like a really good, not a wash. What am I looking for? A filter.
That's what I was going to say, is a filter or tint.
Glaze. Thank you. My gosh, I could not come up with the word in my brain. It makes a really great glaze. You just do some gray to white scale on your blade. You do what you do with your power weapons. Just do it in just grays and whites, and then glaze that over the top of it. I would imagine it's a great color. It's just so transparent. You really, it's almost like working like with a glaze or an ink, really.
Do it gray to white scale. I didn't think about that, because usually I start from, like a steel base and then, do my power weapon effects on top, but black to white, and then tint it. And actually, I love using contrast as a filter over through the airbrush, because it goes on so evenly that way.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to experiment with that. I got a couple power swords I can do up very soon, actually. That's a good idea. So, I wanted to talk with you a little bit. Oh, one more thing while we still, before we move on. The other thing is I had this really, really awesome and generous and handsome and very charismatic YouTuber send me 8 of these classic 2nd edition orcs, and I have been trying to get my hands on some classic space orcs for the Goths for a long time, but every time I see them, they've just been ridiculous. I've seen them like $16 per figure on eBay,
Oh, God.
It's like, if you want a squad of 5, be prepared to shell out a bill. It's like, no, thank you.
No, nah. I'm happy. I'm happy to put figures. One of the things that when I got all those classic figures from that buddy of mine, when he gave me those 2 shipping crates, I told him right then and there, if you're not charging me for these, I'm going to spread the love. And if I find people that love stuff, I'm going to make sure I give it to them. He's like, dude, put out there what you get in. You put it out there, you get it back. So if I can, I already built and painted 20 of them. I'm going to probably do another 20. I've got probably still like another 50.
That's awesome.
So it's like, if I can give 2 sprues to somebody and let them stick them in the army as a piece of history, I'm gonna go for it, because I want to bring people joy. That's what got me into doing the whole YouTube thing in the first place. Just trying to bring some joy into the world.
That's awesome. I'm so stoked to paint these boys up. And actually, it's like the perfect timing too. It's one of those things where the stars align, because the pickle jar, and I think this, since you have so much retro gold, I think this might be up your alley. The pickle jar, for his Discord, he usually does like a community focus for the month, and the community focus this month is retro themed. So either classic models or newer models painted up in the classic style. And we're talking about the the super bright, old school paint jobs, with the really harsh blends and transitions, with the the goblin green and flock basing, or the goblin green sand dry brush yellow. So either a retro model or a retro paint style.
Those robin egg blue, those robin egg bright blue Space Wolf are...
Exactly. And so I think I'm going to do a few of these goths for the Pickle Jars community focuses. It's going to be cool.
Well, thank you for telling me about that, because I'm working on a project right now. I'm working on a couple retro figures for another friend of mine, and that'd be hilarious, because I got my hands on a bunch of the retro blood angels, and like I got a hold of a lot, so I'm wanting to paint up a squad, even though I'm not a Blood Angels guy. For Kill Team, I want to build a squad of Blood Angels specifically for playing Kill Team with. And I was thinking using the retro models for the for them, and paint them up in that retro, that second edition box art cover where they're bright red and a little bit of yellow that's just super bright yellow. So that's kind of cool.
Nice. I knew anybody who had to get in on a retro project, it had to be you, for sure. Just because I know you have a love for the old school figures, but also you've got a nice collection now of the old school stuff.
Oh yeah, and that's gonna feed into little thing. You know how I like 2 years ago we did the retro tank, the build your own tank.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be doing something similar again this year.
Very nice. I loved that challenge. I took him out my deodorant stick hovercraft challenge thing. I took it out and played with my White Scars against Atlas's Imperial Guard a couple weekends ago. Several weekends ago. And yeah, the thing is still good. Still really good. I really enjoyed that.
Every time I take mine to the store, everybody wants to see it. It's like, what the heck is that? That's awesome.
Contribution to history, that's what it is. Kaiju says, I love the old metal models until I sneeze near one and it falls over and breaks. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Aethermatic is very thin. Huh? Aethermatic is very thin, especially for a contrast. I think that definitely may contribute to why the coverage is so bad when I've tried using it as a filter before. I've done the same with darker metals and to real bright silvers, then washed them, made a real nice power blade. See, that's where I've been struggling, as I haven't been able to successfully get the Aethermatic blue to pop over metallics. It pulls weirdly over metallics for me. They don't break, the plastic bits just fall off, and the metal bits cause some because someone didn't pin.
For the Aethermatic, if you're having a hard time getting it to cling, to actually cling onto the thing, if you're using actual metallic paints, just take a quick brush of some matte medium, just like some what do you call it, the Lamium medium, if you have it, or just some type of matte medium. Just give it a one coat of that and let that dry. The matte surface lets it cling a little better.
Oh, that's a great tip. Hey guys, that is your pro tip for this week. Join us next week, where I probably won't be able to think of something for the tip of the week. That is a really good tip, though. I've never considered that. I don't know why either. I use the matte medium here for everything. I recently, because I went over and did a little painting at Brother Freak's house and did some gaming there, and he had showed me where he had switched over his all his mediums. Instead of buying pots of matte medium, where he and Oni have just started using the glaze and matte medium from Liquitex.
Yeah.
So, which of course, you know, you're supposed to thin it down with water, so you buy. It's a one-time expense, so it's like you pay. I think this was $10.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so that's the price of 2 pots of Lamian medium, but then you're going to be able to make, like, you know, 14 pots of Lamian medium out of it. So it definitely is going to be some money saving.
Yeah, I've been watching a couple painters, and it's really got me thinking about how I use mediums more and how you can use them to change how your paint works. Like when I'm doing oil washes on certain figures, putting down a heavy gloss coat before you use the oil wash, you still get the grimy effect, but it clings more into the crevices and not as much on the surface, so you don't need to clean as much up, and you get more of a contrast in what you're seeing. And if you're trying to really filter something using a full matte, I actually use this stuff a lot. The what do you call it? Tester's Lustless Varnish. It creates a matte that's actually got a lot of bite to it. So it takes glazes and it keeps them on there like really well. So.
Nice. I don't know why tips like this haven't come to me before, because I actually use medium a lot. Because you know, I my paint style I talk about is that I like to put in highlights and stuff like that, and then filter over top with it, right?
Yeah.
For my final color. And so to do that, one of the things I do a lot is, instead of watering things down with water, I like to use a lot of, you know, it's different medium types depending on what I'm doing. So that way I can keep the same, not thickness, but, you know, the same consistency of paint, that acrylic kind of consistency without it getting too watery, but I want to dilute the amount of pigment in what I'm doing. So I don't know why it hasn't occurred to me to use medium for, you know, some of these other things like a clinging surface and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really crazy when you start looking. I mean, honestly, watching Lady D paint and watching her paint on surfaces and using different textures of paint to get different effects, it's actually given me a lot of ideas on how to do stuff. Like I'm going to be trying, when I eventually get around to doing my more of my my Stormcast, I want to do a what do you call it, nebula field on their cloaks, and those always looked so hard, and she just found a method of doing them that's super easy. Did I freeze up?
You did in fact freeze up.
Let me jump out and come back. I'll be right back.
Okay. Of course I don't pin them. If I've given anyone the impression that I have a clue what I'm doing, they've been misled. I mean, I feel like that's a lot of us. We're just struggling through as best as we can. You're fine, Kaiju. I've been doing this 30 plus years and didn't know what a pin vise was for the first 5. I feel that. I feel that. I think actually, so my first experience using the pin vise for this hobby was that same question that I ask people now. Is someone picked up one of my miniatures and said, well, where do the bullets come out? And I didn't have an answer for them. So, of course, you know, now I'm perpetuating that cycle of asking people where do the bullets come out. Alright, so I'm going to admit Big D back into the chat here. Ka-chow. There we go. I see a blank space where there should be a Big D.
What is going on?
I can hear you. Can't see you, but I can hear you. Alright guys, so right now what I'm doing is a palette cleanser. We try. I got my first bottle of Color Shift today. Very nice. Big D has entered our minds. That's deep, my brother. That's deep.
Now my potato is affected. I'm being potatoed here. What is going on?
Oh no. So, right now what I'm doing is a little bit of palette cleanser, because I have been doing a whole bunch of orc stuff back to back to back to back, and I love my orc stuff. We lost the D. Don't worry, my brother, that happens to everyone. It's perfectly natural. But I need a palette cleanser because I've been focusing really hard on the orcs and kind of pushing myself to get things done, especially for the Escalation League. And while I really want to make sure that I finish this Beast Snag-a-Bucks, because I want to, I have a good, you know, I've got good steam right now, actually getting the box, opening it up, finishing the box. You know, I want to make sure that I do that. I stay on track to finish it. However, pushing through this squad of 10 just really made me want to do something else. And while I will come back to it sometime soon, make sure I finish the box, the last 10, and the Runt Herder, I got to do something else right now. And I have so many other things I should be doing. Like these Stormcasts that I still need, because, you know, we're trying to get in a few AOS games. And I have a commission I need to knock out, which I will be doing that soon. In fact, that's a project I'm taking with me on my next trip. However, I just really been feeling the urge to go back where it all started. You know, I really wanted to do some wolf stuff, and that's a feeling that when I feel the urge to do wolf stuff, I gotta lead into it. So what I'm doing here is taking me 5 Primaris Reavers and my little bits bag I got of some heresy bits for Space Wolves. And I'm going to convert me some Hounds of Mordkai. So that is going to be the project right now, is just clipping and assembling some torsos for the Reavers. And then we're going to take some Forge World arms and weapons and heads. And, I mean, they're not all going to be the Forge World ones. Some of them will be the Primaris ones or whatever. Just until I'm happy with my mix of 5 wolfy-looking Reavers that I can call my Hounds of Mordkai. So that is what I'm going to be working on tonight for the rest of the stream. And also, you know, when we do our after party thing, where we, you know, just keep doing this, hobbying and hanging out off camera. So, yeah, that's, I don't know why, but I feel like conversion and Space Wolves are what I need to refresh myself after just really focusing on the orcs. Because I had been, you know, just really excited about and I still am excited about the orcs, obviously. I've got a really big conversion, kind of. Yeah, it's a conversion. Maybe a minor conversion, but a conversion I want to do for my Beast Boss, because I don't know when the Beast Boss on Squigosaur is coming out. And it's just something I think will look cool anyways. So I'm going to be doing a Beast Boss on Squigosaur soon. As soon as I can get together with the amazing sponsor of our channel, Brother Oni. And he's going to be hooking me up with some awesome parts. And I'm going to make myself a beast boss. But today is not that day. Take a little breather from the orcs. I'm gonna start working on these reavers, and who knows? I may even do something else wolfy after I knock these out. I need some time with my wolves. So that's what we're doing, guys. Have you guys ever gotten like most of the way through a project and you just felt to yourself, I want to do anything other than this project right now? Sometimes that's the way it is. Unfortunately for me, like I get that with a lot of wolves. Your safety word is potato. Hellchild, justified as medically necessary to alleviate stress. It should sound professional enough to use. That's funny. Find new stuff, toys, tools every week. Just figuring how it'll be useful in a hobby and to justify purchasing them. That's my Harlequin commission. Yeah, oh man. I mean, the commission I totally understand. And then on top of that, Harlequins are just so fine detailed. I could definitely understand that, having that feeling. The 6 aggressors I've had half finished on my desk for like 2 months. I totally feel that. Greg said that was his first marriage. Anything other than this project right now. Oh man. D, you are back, my brother.
Oh my god.
What up, baby?
So apparently, trying to run Zoom with YouTube on the other screen so that I can follow the chat, my computer went, I don't know how you have to do this, but I'm going to potato on you right now.
Trust me, I know. Nobody knows the potato better than me. I have dealt with so much potato that I'm technically honorary Irish at this point. It's the opposite of my paint style, out of my comfort zone, so every time I try, it's a chore. Oh yeah. Anytime you go that far outside the box, my man, I can definitely imagine it takes a lot of focus, which is mentally draining to do something that's contrary to your normal style or comfort zone. Greg just said some funny shit while you were gone, my brother. So I asked if anybody, because I mentioned I'm switching to Space Wolves right now, because I just have the urge to do Space Wolves, and I've been focusing hardcore on orcs for months now, and that I asked if anybody just really ever had that feeling where they were getting towards the end of a long project and they just had the deep urge to do anything other than that project. And we had some great answers. Pale Orc says that's his Harlequin commission. Brother Archer says that's the 6 aggressors he's had half finished on his desk for 2 months now. And then Greg said that was his first marriage. Anything other than this one project right now.
I'm going to be a little embarrassed because I don't think Commodore has shown up yet, but that's Commodore's terrain job. Oh my god. I am so close to done with that project, and I'm just like, let me get to... I'm going to paint this over here. Hang on. Well, I could, I got one wolf. He's not done. Let me get to him. I'll get to that next week. I'll get this now. And it's just like, I feel bad, but I'm like, oh. And I don't know why, because I love painting it, but it's just like, for some reason, it's just like,
I feel you. Yeah, I got a bunch of bugs made, and I got a bit of a quick paint thing going on, but I'm taking a little break to paint some single things. Yes, that is a great idea. Lean into that. The guy I'm doing for has been a nightmare to deal with, not giving me all the models to paint, adding more stuff constantly, grabbing all of them to play games with. I can understand where that would get frustrating. Ashley says, I guess you will sleep in the closet tonight with a gag so I can sleep. Oh, man.
I will admit that is part of what has driven me to having as many armies as I do. Because if I ever get to a point where I'm just not feeling it with one army, it's like, let me put this in my project box and let me go work on this other army for a bit.
Same, my brother. The hobby ADD is real. But on the other hand, though, while I am not super, super productive on any one project, I feel like hobby ADD makes me overall more productive because at least I'm still chipping away at something, right? And I think...
You keep telling yourself that.
I think for me that's at least useful because what happens for me is if I just have the one thing going on and I don't feel like doing that, what I'm going to do is not do the hobby at all and go do something else. And for me personally, it is easy to fall into the easier thing, which is, well, I'll just veg on the couch and watch wrestling or anime, or, you know, I'm just going to go play a few video games because I don't feel like doing that one thing now. So while I'm chipping in a lot of different directions, I'm still chipping. You know what I mean? Aaron?
Oh, I know what you mean. I'll be honest. That's part of what, to be blunt, that's what my channel has suffered from. You know, I'm primarily a terrain channel, or that's what I started off as. And I've done exactly one project this year because I have just not been feeling it. I'm just like, I have so much terrain and I have all these projects, and one of them burnt me out just trying to figure out how to do it. And meanwhile, it's like, but I got all these models I can paint. I'm gonna paint some models. Oh crap, I don't have a tutorial this week. Well, that's okay. We'll just do an extra, live stream and we'll talk more about the stuff. And it's got me more into playing the game, which has been great. But I can tell you, there are times that Lady D, she just comes in here and she looks at me and she shakes her head, and I can feel that that she's thinking. I can just feel it burning into the back of my skull. So
I can feel the disappointment from here.
Aren't you supposed to be working on it? Yes. Well, what are you doing? Watching Disney Plus and putting some base coats down? Well, that's not very productive, is it? I got 20 models done. What do you mean it's not productive? Aren't you supposed to be? Yes.
See, our ladies keep us honest. Oh, man. And actually, not only do I have the lovely Lily who does that a lot for me, aren't you supposed to be doing this, that, or the other? And this is more than just hobby. This is life, too. I'll be supposed, oh, man, I've got freaking 3 spreadsheets of invoices I need to finish today. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. She'll come over half an hour later. She looks at me like, that's not your working face. She comes around my desk and looks at my monitor, and I'm on Power Wash Simulator. She's like, don't you have those invoices to do today? Yes. I just needed to do anything other than invoices right now. I need to do anything other than staring at Microsoft Excel right this second.
Yeah.
But they keep us honest, man. They keep us honest for sure.
They do. They do. I mean, hell, even tonight, I came home from work. It has been a long week. I love my job, but it has been a long week. And I have not had a lot of time to just enjoy the company of my wife. And I can honestly say that is something I really enjoy. I mean, hobby aside and all that, having a spouse that not only supports you, but really gets into the hobby with you and sees your enthusiasm and wants you to enjoy it, that's awesome. So I love spending time with her. So I get home from work and she's laying down because we're back, and I just kind of curl up with her, and I was kind of curling up on her, and I start snoring a little bit because I'm relaxed. And she's like, get up. I'm like, what? You have things to do. I don't have to do them yet. Go do them now. Oh, come on. I want to be here and cuddle with you. No, get out.
Hey, Commodore, my brother. We were talking about you. I hope you're doing well. Nothing was said about you.
Not much. Not at all. And yeah, you still have an Eisenhower that you need to build in 2022. I don't know if y'all remember beginning of this year, those of you that do follow my channel, like you, Heinrich, what was going to be my new army this year? Do you remember? Necrons.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten, honestly.
Do you know how many Necrons I've built and painted this year? 1. Because I was testing a paint scheme. And that's it. I guess you'll need to wait until this video is back in the archive and you go back and watch it.
I understand that feeling. So I've got this Imperial Knight army. And I keep, Imperial Knights have, I guess part of it was wanting to get it right and trying to decide where I'm putting what colors and whatnot the first time. And, it's such a big project. I wanted it to look good and do my best on it, right? And so a lot of, most of a year went into slowly just chipping away at the night until I was happy with it. And so I've been saying for the last 3 years, this is going to be the night or the year I get my night army painted. But I always end up starting a new army instead.
Don't you also have that second party figure that you got dirt cheap?
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh my god.
Leviathan Crusader Knight, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was I wanted to get one of those, and the problem was just before we found out about that sale, I had spent all my hobby money on a bunch of other stuff, and I'm like, no, I want one. And then they're gone. I'm like, Gah. I found one on eBay, and I'm like, I like my kidneys. Not gonna happen.
$20 for a Dreamforge equivalent of a knight, which is actually a bit taller than a knight.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Hey, Gary, what's going on?
Some sympathy for Pale Orc in the chat, saying he's not getting whatever he's getting painted. He's not getting paid enough. Whatever he's getting paid, he's not getting paid enough. I can agree to that. Welcome, by the way, Commodore. She's a keeper. Yeah, I have to say that I've been telling both of our ladies. I think this really applies to. I've really, really been trying to make an extra effort to tell my lovely Lily how thankful I am for her, because I've been in a few friends' live streams, and not necessarily the streamers themselves, sometimes people talking in the chat. I've actually heard multiple times in the last 2 weeks alone how there are hobbyists that have been out of the hobby for a few years or have kept a toe in the hobby, but their hobby progress has been so slow and they've not seen a game in ages because their other half doesn't support their hobby time. They hate the fact that they buy models. They hate that when they sit down to paint, they hate them, watching videos of, the game stuff and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow,
I'm gonna admit to you, Mythos. My ex-wife. There was a while there where she was not digging hobby time and stuff like that. It's like, well, if you have free time, we need to spend it together. And it's like, okay, well, then let's do this. I'm not interested in that. Okay. And that was part of the reason part of it was, the boy and his sibling being young, and I didn't want them chewing down on some lead, but part of it was also the fact that not only did I have to make time for the kids, which I don't mind, but I've also got to wedge it in with a partner that was not at the time supportive of it. And they became supportive later, and by that point it was kind of late. So I was kind of thankful I got in where I did, or got back when I did.
That's totally understandable. Hearing some of these awesome community members say they've got to wait until there's the rare occasion that they're not at work and their spouse has gone to work for a couple hours, so they rush to sneak in some time on somebody's stream or put together a few models or lay down a couple coats of paint. Can you imagine? That's the kind of thing I remember doing as a teenager, with if my brother, and of course I realize now my childhood was a little messed up, where my brother and I would be hanging out and playing, and if we didn't have our chores done when my dad would walk through the room, we'd get beat. Or walked into the house, we'd get beat even if he came home a couple hours early or whatever. So we'd be hanging out, playing some PlayStation or whatever, or I'd have comic books. I wasn't allowed to have comic books for the longest time. I'd have comic books that I wasn't supposed to have, or magic cards. And we hear a car pull up in the driveway. We run over to the blinds and look. And if it was, our dad's car, we'd gather up things like role play books or comic books, magic cards, run and throw it in the room real quick, and act like nothing. Like, that's the kind of vibe I have of, this unsupportive spouse, just like having to hide your hobby and wait till they go to work.
Yeah.
And again, no names, not trying to call anybody out, but hearing that from multiple hobbyists in the last couple of weeks, I'm like, that really makes me appreciate when you have someone that not only allows you to do what you do, but supports it, go get in a game, whatever, that's...
When you have a partner that supports your nerddom, everything else in your life kind of comes together, to be honest. And as you may have noticed, I think the boy, need to slide in some boy.
I just came to say hi.
Raceland, my man.
And a photo on the stream.
It's Little D.
It is Little D. Hello.
So, Wargaming with Gary. Gary, great to see you. Good morning, my friend. Greg hates that I buy too much. I love the story that they tell on their channel where Greg goes to buy lunch one day, swipes his card, and it keeps declining. And it turns out Ashley had bought some figures at the game store. It was for, I think, niece? Granddaughter? Something like that. But yeah, it's awesome. My wife loathes my hobby in every aspect. I'm sorry to hear that, my brother. Ooh. We've got a Y-Bird in the chat. Sup, Mythos ND.
Y-Bird, what is up, guys?
What up, baby? Granddaughter, okay. Let them chew lead and save on college funds. That's dark, my man. That's dark.
Well, I mean, it was you we're talking about. That's specifically you we're talking about.
And why?
Because I was talking about why I got out of the hobby for a few years.
He said it was all your fault, D.
It was.
I mean, I was a baby. I'm sorry for being a baby.
How dare you be in a formative state?
How dare I be born? You know what? That's right. How dare I?
Yeah, I mean, you're like the worst.
That's going to be an oof for me, Chief. Oh.
Ray, what hobby you getting lately, baby?
Oh man, I'm working on a lot of stuff.
I am so proud of him.
What? About what bit?
The army you're building.
Oh. My cat Space Wolves?
You got to hear this, Mythos. It's going to make you want to reach through the screen and choke him.
So I'm building my cat Space Wolves, and I'm going to get one of each of the Space Wolves characters, like the named Space Wolf characters, and I'm going to cast them up and use them as different HQ units for my Chaos Army. So I'm going to take Ulrich the Slayer and turn him into a Dark Apostle. I'm going to take Bjorn and turn him into some kind of Hellbrute. I'm going to take Ragnar and turn him into a Master of Executions.
But he's literally, because what he's doing is he's building a Renegade Legion in Chaos, but he's doing it on the lore that it was based on a group of wolves that were lost in the warp.
Skyrim's Dark Wolves. And
have turned to Khorne, and they believe in their twisted minds that Russ is Khorne, and Khorne is Russ. So they still believe they're loyal to the Emperor for Russ and the Allfather, but yeah, they messed up.
It done messed up, Chief. I actually really enjoy that. I like the spin. I there is a part of me, and it is just my own enjoyment of an obscure piece of fluff. But I dislike the addition of the fan Dark Wolves that became canon, because one of my favorite parts of fluff is where it was written about someone's. It was written from the point of view of one of the rune priests, and them giving the proving or whatever the test is that the Space Wolves go through. And when they're put to sleep and they send their mind on a psychic journey through the gates of Morkai, and the Space Wolf has to emerge out of this dream sleep. Meet those computer screen cheap flights to Milwaukee. Anyways, they were describing this dream sleep, kind of like Ragnar went through in his trilogy, where the Space Wolves are put in multiple scenarios, and basically they have to make the right decisions, where the rune priests are convinced, that they have the spirit of a sky warrior, and that during this process they describe that each soul of a Space Wolf initiate is bonded with the spirit of a wolf during that time. And that wolf spirit, it basically bonds to their soul in a way that keeps it from a demon from ever being able to taint their soul, because their soul already belongs to the wolf, right? And so, like, sometimes if they encounter a demon that's like trying to possess or taint them, the Space Wolf will endure an agonizing, growl or roar in their mind, as the wolf spirit chases off the demon, And it was such a obscure piece of fluff that I really enjoyed, and kind of like my personal fluff I've taken from that and worked it into my Silver Moon Wolves lore. And then, so end result was what I'm saying is that so basically, a Space Wolf has to choose to go to chaos. They can't be tainted or corrupted to chaos. But anyways, when they brought in the Dark Wolves,
because of the best and most loyal boys.
And I like the idea that, like, well, they may not have, they fell because they chose to in that vein, because they believed what they believed was that they were following the path of Russ, and that faith in Russ caused them to make that choice, which is part of their insanity, because every member of Chaos is absolutely batshit.
Absolutely. And that's where I was going to go with this. Like, that's why I still love your fluff for it, because they're not necessarily tainted, because that's kind of like the wiggle room there, is that a wolf has to choose to go over to chaos. And in this case, if their faith that they're doing the right thing is so strong, I can see them leading to making that choice. So I like your spin on it.
That's why when I do my possessed, I'm gonna do them less as, like, with some demon traits as well, but more wolfen traits as well, as they've, like, given fully into the wolf. Like, that's why my warp talons are going to be wolfen, like, straight up. My warp talons won't be like possessed. They are wolfen with the jump packs and, like, just full in, give it into their wolf.
Speaking of wolfen as possessed, Kami recently posted in chat like 5 minutes ago, and I had somebody send it to me earlier today, of the new Argoltal demon model.
Yeah,
converted into the wolfen.
I sent it to Dad earlier today, too.
Yeah, the model he was showing me earlier.
That's so cool.
I'm taking it. I'm stealing it. I don't care. I'm stealing that idea right there.
Have a great night, Greg.
You know what else it's great for? The Demon Prince.
Absolutely. Then you can put the wings back on.
Yeah. Keep the wings on, and you make it a Demon Prince.
Absolutely.
And I haven't had anyone for a Demon Prince for my army, so it's perfect.
Yeah. And it's such a gorgeous model to make a Demon Prince, too.
What?
You know what I could do instead of making Bjorn into a Hellbrute?
Make him into a demon prince?
I could make him into a demon prince.
I really
Oh,
hate
that's
you.
cool. She also clumps together every platform I'm on as hobby because it's the same topic. Oh man, that does suck. That's kind of what happened with a couple of the other people I was talking about earlier. Is that they if they happen to walk in and they're listening to a YouTube video or a Twitch stream about the hobby, it's attitude because it's oh, you're listening to that toy soldier stuff again. It's like, ouch. Kaiju. So what Ray Ray is doing is breaking Mythos's loyal little heart. Anakin, you're breaking my heart. You got some love from Hellworks. Hellworks says he enjoys that spin on your fluff there.
I actually really like it. I mean, because I know the boy loves the wolves as much as I do. I mean, so him just trying to find another way to use them that's interesting is...
To be fair, I'm going to have two different armies that are Space Wolf themed. One of them is a Loyalist group that I'm using Space Wolf rules for, and then I have my Chaos Space Wolves.
That he's using the Red Corsairs for, but he's going to...
I like yours for a couple of reasons. So for one, it still kind of keeps with that lore that that they shouldn't be able to be tainted to go chaos. They choose it, they walk down the wrong path, But also I love it because I love that you like taking the narrative side of the game so seriously that part of the reason is you don't want to be Imperium facing Imperium, right? And
yeah.
So, I like overall that commitment to the story. Have a good night, Ash. It was great having you here. I hate chaos, but support Ray's decision for the rage it causes Big D. I enjoy this purely for the potential to piss off my friend.
I mean, that is Commodore. I mean, he has no other joy in his life, so he has to take joy in offense. I can't even say that's true. Because his better half definitely brings him joy.
That's true.
When you got a 10 hanging out with a 2, that makes it
Man.
feel like a lot. Oh!
Oh! Say Kami's at least a 3 or a 4. Come on, man.
Yeah, but he gets up to a 3 and 4, and then that beer just drags him back down.
That's the thing about family, guys. Family's not afraid to say the things that really hurt. Traitors and heretics all.
Yeah. I mean, I want to have at least I eventually want to have like one army for each of the subtypes. So Space Marine army, an Imperium army, a Chaos army, and a Xenos army. At some point.
Those are rookie numbers. Got to push that.
Yeah,
rookie numbers.
But I'm saying at least.
Rookie numbers.
I have my Space Marine idea. I'm trying to decide between Imperial Guard and Adeptus Sororitas for my Imperium army.
Why not both?
To be fair, that is actually part of my idea, is running it as a mixed Imperial Guard Stormtroopers and Sisters of Battle, and running it as an Inquisitorial task force.
He really likes the Inquisition.
I do.
Did you see that grimace? He's like, ah. You
That
heard
grimace
it.
was me dropping models again. So guys, we for those of you who don't know, a bunch of us get together almost every Friday after the show. We do a little after party, which is more just hobbing together and talking nonsense that we wouldn't put out on the air. And while we did that, I had all of my pieces of my Calidus Assassin from where I clipped them off the sprue. I put them in a tiny little Ziploc baggie so I wouldn't lose them, right? And I ended up, last time I was working on that project, I was like, I'm not going to use Assassins right now. So anyways, I ended up shelving that project and left it in a little Ziploc baggie. I took all the pieces out on air while I was talking to the chat last week. And I was like, yeah, I can't wait to build this up. And for some reason, I took out I took a couple of the pieces out to, show off like the laser blade she uses in the Hammer and Bolter episode. And I was like, oh, isn't this cool? And I absentmindedly set it down on my desk, with a couple of the other pieces where I fished out to find that piece. And I was like, look how cool that is. And I absolutely set it down. And then we were all hobbying together after the show. I was like, all right, let me put together this assassin. And I found all the pieces that I set down on my desk during the show, except for the front part of her torso. Basically her neck, belly, and her boobies. And I have lost those boobies forever. So now I need to get another Callous assassin.
No, what you need to do is get some green stuff.
Sculpt my own boobies.
Yeah, you could sculpt your own boobies too. I was saying you could just smooth it over.
Some green
because
stuff.
remember, they can like shapeshift into whatever form they want.
That's true. But if I can paint them, you know what? Never mind. There's no way to say this without sounding shallow.
I lost the boobs. How do I lose boobs?
I have the option to paint a model with boobies. I'm going to paint a model with boobies.
I bought her because she's got boobs. I'm not making her boobless. What's wrong with you? That's my son. You don't need boobs. What's wrong with you? How many raging heroes do you got there, Amithos?
Huh?
How many raging heroes you got?
I have 12. I'm looking over at the show.
Hey, I've got an ethereal from Wargamer exclusive specifically for my Tau. That's it's PG-13 rated. She's PG-13.
Mine's
right on that border.
Yeah. I've got the version of the Repentia where they are, 13, PG-13, but, they're just strategically bandit trapped.
It's not like I bought the sniper that's like, all she's wearing is her rifle.
When I bought those, I had just bought those, and I had your dad on one of those streams too, and he was teasing me, oh, I love the skin tones. Mythos, they're still gray plastic. Love the skin tones.
I'm judging you both. I want you to know that.
Hellwork says, he's young D. He has time.
We'll get him into a few more armies. I can't wait till he starts building some real Slaneshi units.
Where you called Commodore a 2, Commodore says, bitch, I'm fabulous.
What we need to do is we need to get his very talented photographer wife to braid up his beard with some cute ribbons and get some shots like that.
Man, he goes for 5.
What was it last week where we had ended up doing Kaiju asked me to do the meme. I have to look now.
Kaiser! Hello, sir!
Modeling for advantage.
I have a question. For anyone who's read the Kill Team Compendium stuff. Is it correct that a cast Space Marine list is 3 dudes? That's it? Does anyone else know?
I don't think
I have no idea. I actually
have. Kill Team rules are still.
That's fair. Because I just wrote up a list on Battleship. I just tested out. And I'm like, okay, I have 3 dudes. Can I have any? I can't have any more. Wow.
You'll get 3 and you'll like it.
I thought I'd have like a full squad.
Why would you get that?
I don't remember what the context of this was. But I think the basis is that somebody was saying, I think it was you that might have been saying that something about Commodore being plain, calling him oatmeal. And when he hung up for the night when we were all hanging out, he left saying, I'm oatmeal, bitch. And so we did this meme for him.
Nice.
Oh my god.
I'm oatmeal, bitch.
I won't real bitch.
Oh man, the war boss from Who Took My Dice is done, guys. The technical master Freak is not with us tonight, so and I have not had time to prep art of the week, so yeah, that's why I'm actually just showing you stuff from my phone in the most professional way right now. Check that out. That second edition war boss Who Took My Dice painted up. That's pretty cool. Just sent it to me. Just finished it just now.
Hey, I got some art of the week I can share.
Oh no.
Go get it.
What?
It's on the it's in the other room.
What art?
A 16 by 20 that's gonna be the backdrop for my terrain piece.
Oh yeah.
That war boss looks really, really good, Steve.
It does, man. That war boss is great.
Modeling for Advantage says you get 2 fire teams as Chaos Space Marines.
Okay, we'll have to look at that because I think he's
This one?
no, the one that's finished. It's up on the stand. You're gonna see this Mythos, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, I need this art."
Oh, I thought you were using that one for the.
I was, but you didn't finish it. So I'm gonna be using this one.
Yes. I love that piece. Actually, she's been knocking out quite a few pieces lately, and they all look incredible.
She's really figured out how to do this nebula effect really beautiful. So she's actually, I had her get a bunch of these like little, like I think they're like 6 inches square or 8 inches square, and so she's gonna get she did one for the wolves. She did a little one for the wolves. She's gonna do a 3x3 with all 9 of the loyalist chapters in there, and then she wants to do the same thing for all 9 of the chaos chapters.
Nice.
You have them 9 by 9, and that way you can, lock them together, or you can space them or whatnot. It's an idea I had. I thought it'd be cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Hellwork says, looks excellent, Steve. And of course, Lady D's art has been so on point lately. And I know you talked about it a little bit on your show. She's actually had a place that's putting up her art, right?
Yeah. The shop that I'm doing all the commission builds for, they're a restaurant, pub, and gaming store all in one place. So the front end's like a bar, restaurant, all that, and then the back half of it's an actual gaming store. But they have a lot of art up on the walls, and they've had people asking if they can buy the stuff, and they're like, well, this is just for decoration. And when we were talking to them, and they're like, yeah, why don't you bring it in? So she did a bunch of paintings that she had been working on, and they're showing them there, and they're going to sell them on commission for us. So
that's going to be awesome. Well, I hope they sell extremely well, because it is definitely worth her getting some recognition and a little bit of a little bit of that kind of financial reward for her work. You know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, we do art for the passion of it, right? But awesome when you can take your art to that level where it's appreciated with money.
Come sit down. Come sit down. Come sit down.
Why, hello there. It's just gushing about your work. Really good stuff. In fact, I am really, really looking forward to people buying your stuff. I mean, obviously money's not everything. That is definitely a good point to say, hey, I made it. I'm doing the arts.
Yeah, but I need more canvases now.
She's gone through like all of the stash of extra canvases we had. I mean, we had a lot, and we still got a few left, but she's gone through a lot of them, and it's good because it's good art.
Also out of paint.
It's a good thing you work at an art supply store.
I do not.
Oh, I knew that. I was paying attention.
It's okay. We'll be getting some more. We'll be getting some more for you real soon to fill up the paint she's missing. But
hi, Kaiser.
She's gonna be getting. We've been through the stuff. She's getting her cortisone shot soon, like real soon, and then she'll actually be up and around without being under pain drugs all the time. And
Hey, brother.
Good night, Steve. Look at that. Oh, look at all that love for you in the chat there. I think you have been missed, my lady.
People miss you all the time. I try to tell you this.
Yeah. They just want to see how we abuse you.
You know, joy is joy.
Don't worry, he gets plenty of abuse anyways.
I know. I'm so proud of everybody.
You know, nobody could let your favorite pastime, you know, go undone on the show. So Cat mistreats him anyways.
And she's a brat.
What?
And you married me.
Yes.
Something in my hair? No, it's my hair.
It's your hair. There's something in your hair. Just your hair.
I keep forgetting that part of it's blonde now.
See, Lily's been calling me a brat lately too, and I just don't understand how the patron saint of innocence can be referred to that way.
Really? Really, Mika? The patron saint of innocence.
Exactly. It just blows my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Says the man who watches wrestling for the plot.
I love the plot.
Plot. So how is Alexa Bliss doing these days?
She's amazing.
Oh,
Did you tell them what the
yes. We were just talking about that when you came in.
I had no idea what you were talking
I know. You're... Yeah, I can see that. So,
Well, hello there.
Hey,
yeah.
want something funny in here?
No?
It smells like bullcrap right around this area.
I don't understand how the patron saint of innocence can be spoken to in this way.
All I said it smells like. That's all I said. I didn't say anything about whoever that person.
Brother Archer says, if you're the patron saint of innocence, then I'm
3 feet tall and black.
I think Ray wants his spot back.
The shame around here. Shame.
Shame! Oh,
I actually have a present working up for you, Hellchild.
Ooh. And Lily with the burn. Oh, man. I suppose I haven't seen too many patron saints to get their behinds handed to them. So that was pretty excellent.
so is that a halo, or is that the afterglow from you getting your ass smacked?
Little column A, little column B.
See, look, everybody misses you. We gotta get your back fixed. We gotta get that done
We're
quicker.
working on it.
I know,
I have
I
a
know.
doctor's appointment coming up after the shot, and we'll find out if surgery happens then or not. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully so. Hopefully so. I know we all want you better. Most importantly, as greedy as we are, you know, hoping that you come back to the show so we can all see your lovely face again. More importantly than that, we all just want you to, you know, not have to experience the pain anymore.
Yeah, I would be just happy with, you know, being able to get through my day without having to take meds.
Hellwork says, present?
Yes, a present.
You have stoked his interest.
My poor brother, who COVID has hit his area hard, so yeah. And here's Commodore's commentary.
The patron saint of bitch, please.
You've been sainted, my love.
What is this from?
Mythos, the patron saint of quote-unquote innocence. Lily, the patron saint of bitch please.
I love that. Can I get that, like, on a... I want that above my desk.
Shirt that says patron saint of
Pitch.
we can do that. I'm trying to get the Kinder to make a shirt for Mythos that says it's true, it's true.
No, it's
You're right.
You right.
right.
Man, I don't like the judgment that's going on recently.
What?
I feel like we're being very judgy
On who?
on
Mythos?
people's personal phrases.
Oh,
He
you know
has
what?
a shirt
You can say that, and that's fair.
because don't you have a shirt?
See,
This
here's
one.
the thing.
We got a shirt. Yeah, we got a shirt that says. So here's the thing for him.
I mean, if you're gonna have a show, you gotta have a catchphrase, right? I mean, that's the whole thing.
So for you, it's hello.
Hello, crafters.
Or whatever you decide to say after that. I don't know. I listen in the other room and I go, God, I want to throw something at him.
For whatever reason, she doesn't like the Animaniacs.
No, I just don't like you trying to impersonate them.
Hello, nurse.
You don't do the Yakko hello nurse right.
Whatever.
Or wackos.
go lay down, you drugged up freak.
Model League 4 Advantage says, fact.
Fact.
Hearing that in his and Johnny B's voice right now. Also, let's not forget Doofa.
They're zany to the max and have
Only
in
in
their
their
socks.
All right, so Lady D, of all the pieces of art that you've done lately, what's your favorite one?
I really like the big ones that I did. The black hole eating a star and the first stellar field I did.
Ooh, nice.
Um,
The first stellar field, is that the one we showed on the show last week?
Yes.
Nice.
the one that made me very, very surprised. And I just finished the black hole one.
Very nice.
Yesterday.
Did you put it up? Did you put that up?
I put it on Instagram. I
All
didn't
right,
post
so-
much anything else.
So, if you're on Instagram and you're not following Lady Dragon 28, you should be.
Ah! I know that there is a shirt of that, Hellchild. There is a shirt of that. A scene from Boondock Saints that demonstrates the diversity of the
The word for years.
The okay, so you may not have a catchphrase per se, Kaiju. There's no denying the trademark of you pulling stuff off of your shelf and everything falling down. That is so classic Kaiju. So
Which one?
branding can occur in many different ways.
Okay.
You're pulling stuff off the shelf and stuff falling kind of reminds me of like in Psych, where they hide a pineapple in every episode. Part of their branding. All right, so D, we've got about 30 minutes left, and I know we kind of talked about discussing a little bit of the state of the game, because you've had some competitive games lately.
Yeah.
I've been in an escalation lately, and I am not too proud to admit. I mean,
Real
I didn't
quick.
get... I love that piece. That piece is so gorgeous.
I need to understand how freaking big this thing is. I mean, I can't even
You can, you just can't be seen.
on the camera with it. It's huge.
I love the vibrance of the fire, but I also really love the subtlety of the other colors around it. You know, the dark blue mixing into the lighter blues and the pinks and the purples and then the stars. All just a really nice subtle vortex.
I have been having fun with these.
Careful. Don't run into the fan.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I've been playing some games. We were in a league for a bit. And I did a tournament. I did a test tournament, and then I did a real tournament. And yeah, I've seen a few things. Where to start? I gotta say, one of the things that I did not expect is seeing sisters being as sticky as they are. They're just incredibly sticky. They're hard to dig out when they get in somewhere.
They've been kind of out in force lately.
Yeah.
I haven't played against
Oh,
them
they're
myself, but I've been
definitely
seeing more of them for sure.
They're definitely an upper tier army right now. They're a problem to deal with. I mean, when I was talking with people about putting this army together this weekend, that was a big thing they talked about, because sisters have this ability to do bodyguarding, and they have a couple different units that they bodyguard to, and it is a pain in the rear because you can clearly see a figure and it can even be closest, but because they have bodyguards, you can't hurt them, and it's just like
I've
you
heard
got
the guy from Auspex Tactics mentioned that he felt like the bodyguarding rules were a little bit broken at the moment.
They are. Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing I would honestly say to anyone. If anyone's looking to get better at their game and really increase how they play at the level they play, you really need to look at Auspex Tactics. It's just such a good, informative channel. And he does silly stuff from time to time, too. That's the thing. I mean, he does do some really entertaining stuff. But when he goes into like a deep dive on stuff, like he just did a video about one combo for every army that's really, really good. And he just broke down a single combo of units for every single army in GW right now. That's really good. And he's really got fingers on the pulse of what's going on and moving and shaking in there. I would also say, I think the other channel that I watch a lot of to get a good look at just what's going on, Broadsword, Vanguard Tactics, Broadsword, there's a couple of them, but those are really, I mean, there's Tactical Tortoise. That is such a great channel too. I mean, but yeah, it's things like, you know, sisters and their bodyguards are being really sticky. They nerfed just a little bit of the Mechanicum, and it's not a bad nerf. It was actually a very balanced nerf. It did deal with it. It brought them back out of the, oh my god, they're ridiculous, to, okay, you can at least play against them now. But it works out really well. Drukhari jumped right back up in their ratings as soon as they nerfed the Mechanicum.
Yep.
I'm thinking they're going to get nerfed sometime real soon. They're just, to have that much mobility and that much just grotesque firepower that can move in, shoot, and then run away. I mean, an army's got to have a weakness, and unfortunately, they don't really seem to have one at the moment. You just got to kind of fire for effect in them and hope that's enough.
I thankfully have not, well, I say thankfully, like, obviously I should probably learn a little bit about it, but I thankfully have not had to go up against Drukhari just yet. There is one Drukhari player in our league, and I didn't get matched up with him, or I didn't get, we're setting our own matches really, but I didn't get in any games with him, but I should learn at some point.
The big thing with Drukhari is a lot of it's their fire and fade, the fact that all their transports are open top, so they can just bring gobs and gobs of DACA and then run away. It's kind of why I did the list I did. I brought in a bunch of guys with backpacks with jetpacks, so I could get up into, say, our Raiders' face, and I've got a number of heavy hitters that do big damage to vehicles, to just try and take those Raiders out of the game, because the Raiders are really what gives them their strength.
I noticed you took, I think it looked like you took the cavalry out. Did they not serve you well?
Unfortunately, right now, the cavalry, because they can't go in buildings and they can't climb and get around things, and the bigger bases, when people start packing a lot of terrain onto a table, and that's why we're trying to get more clarified rules from GW. That's why there's been a lot of questions to GW about clarifying the amount of terrain. They have a hard time getting around. They have a hard time using their movement effectively, because I've got a 10-inch move and I can advance, but I got to take this roundabout way to actually get anywhere. And if I was an infantryman, I could just go right through the middle of it. So I love the Thunderwolves. I can't wait to be able to use them again, because they are a really great unit. But the way I see them used these days, it's crazy. You see people running 3 squads of 5 to just maximize their use on them, and I think that might be a way to go. But the other way that you're seeing a lot of people, they've moved away from cavalry to just go to jump packs. Unfortunately, it's gotten to the point where you have to be speedy, and you have to negate as many movement penalties as possible, and jetpacks pretty much negate everything like that. They just let you go. It's why White Scars are doing so well right now, because nobody keeps up for them with speed as far as Marines go.
Although they do kind of suffer from the same, they can't go into buildings and stuff like that, which I felt last night for sure.
Again, and that's the really bad thing. You're seeing a lot of armies that should have bikes or should have cavalry on the competitive scene. And I want to be clear, that's the big thing. At the competitive scene, you're seeing a lot of them drop those cavalry units and using 3 squads of Stern Guard vets, or 3 squads of Vanguard vets, and 3 squads of assault troops, and just putting in as many jumpy boys as they can. Smash captains are back, but not so much as that they're a hammer, but they're using them to basically run up there, surround them with guys, and get all those rerolls for all these other attacks they're throwing down. So, but then the flip side is the one regular cavalry you see for Marines. Practically every list these days is running the chaplain on bike.
Yep.
It's such a devastating figure. It's ridiculously devastating what that figure can do.
Yeah, the Smash Chaplain, as he's been referred to a lot, is got some amazing damage output, but also the buffs he can give himself and others. So it's
and that's honestly,
utility, damage, all the stuff.
I'm running the exact same thing, except instead of the bike, I've just got him on the jump pack version. But I'm running a Smash Chaplain to run this army, because when you can take a guy, especially in Space Wolves, I can move him 12, advance him, a D6 +1, because he gets I take the Hunter bonus with him, and then you take the ability to give him a second Warlord trait, so that he can re-roll advances and charges, and when he charges, he gets a +1 strength and +1 damage, and then he puts on the buff that gives him +1 attack and +1 strength. And then you buy the Crozius upgrade that's just disgusting. You end up having a guy that runs up and he's swinging 6 attacks for a Space Wolf, 6 attacks hitting on 2s, with a strength 8 weapon that's -3 AP and 4 damage.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and he's 130 points. It's just wow, that's crazy cheap.
Another combo I've seen used a lot lately is They'll use the turbo boost on the Smash Chaplain's bike to zoom up along a board edge, and then they'll deep strike the Vanguard Vets with the Lightning Claw and Shield combo, and then he'll cast the +2 to charge on them.
Yeah.
And then make sure that they get in.
Yeah. Yeah, Kaiju. He's got a strength 6 and the weapon's a +2 strength. So he ends up swinging at strength 8 for the Crozius he's using.
Yeah, a holy Thunderhammer, basically.
Yeah.
Reiterating what you said, Pale saying White Scars aren't playing bikes like they used to, except for the Chaplain. The Smash Chaplain is wicked. He says he's waiting for Orc Buggies to get nerfed if idiots keep taking 18 in a list. That's what happens as soon as people, over-abuse something. Then comes the Banhammer. Check this out. This is my first Hound of Morkai with
nice.
The wolf skull helmet, the Space Wolf headed axe from Heresy, and of course, got the pistol.
Nice.
It's going to be my first one.
You're going to throw a couple wolf tails on there, right?
Oh, yeah. I've got to go through my bits for that, but this is just what I have immediately to hand.
You'd think that, Kaiju, but there's actually a couple other warlord traits I've been looking at that are ridiculous. When you combine them with things out of like a chapter ability, there's a warlord trait that the warlord gives all infantry units within 6 inches of him obsec. And I saw somebody take a Smash Captain and a Blood Angels list, and they took just a god awful amount of the Sanguinary Guard and just piled them into a place. You're not getting rid of Sanguinary Guard, and they've all got obsec now. It's just
I'd go full Viking on Space Wolves, giant beards and pelts everywhere. It's funny because my take on my Space Wolves are basically less Viking and kind of like my favorite bits out of the Space Wolf kit when I first got them were the metal wolf-headed helms. And so my army is just full of like the metal wolf helmets and stuff like that. And yeah, I do more wolf, less Viking, but like space armor wolf kind of deal. Kind of like the what do they call it? The bad guys in Fallout 3, where they're all in like the black wolf armor. I saw
Happy freaking Friday, X-Gear Commander.
X-Gear, my man. Enclave, thank you, Raceland. Dad's Smash Chaplain would be even more broken if he was running Blood Angels. The Blood Angels definitely have a really awesome version as well. Although, with the ridiculous strength that they get, I've heard some people say that the charge, because he's already giving himself +2 to charge, so the charge bonuses and the wound bonuses you get on Blood Angels in the current meta are less important than the extra attacks that they would get as Space Wolves.
Yeah.
So I've heard some people say the Space Wolves version is better, but I've heard it both ways. I don't want to get all back in my day, but Kaiju says, the saving grace for my big bugs was the Marine strength was around 4 to 6.
That's typical. That's the thing.
Right, that is typical. Although, it's basically the same as a Thunderhammer. Did they not have the Power Fist and Thunderhammers at strength 8 back then? I just got in at 7th edition, so I don't know what they had back then.
No, that's exactly it. And the thing is, that's what they've been doing, is they've been pushing it a little bit higher and higher. And now that you can just stack buffs like that, it's what I was talking about. When I was looking at some competitive lists, it's all about where can you stack bonuses. It's all about taking the luck out of the game and taking it out of the dice's hands and just making it a matter of, do I put my guys where I want them? So if I can stack it up so that I run a wolf captain or a wolf chaplain into a group of guys, I'm swinging for 4 damage, I've got -3 AP, I'm hitting on 2s, and I'm throwing 6 attacks. I'm going to run up on a group of Terminators or a group of Eradicators or a group of any Gravis armored gigantic guys, and I'm going to wipe them out. Or I'm going to run up on a tank, and on 4s, I'm going to do 4 damage a hit with it, and just bang, 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 and get rid of the vehicle. Or the Dreadnought that I'm going to wound on 3s because all the Dreadnoughts got knocked down to toughness 7. So, I mean, but I found it out with one of the games during the tournament when I took 4 Ragnar. I ran Ragnar up to a set of 2 tank commanders. And in one fight phase, because it was assault phase, Ragnar killed both tank commanders in one attack phase, and then used his pile-in, or the after fight move, to tag up to another tank to keep it from shooting. It was just like, you're not going to hurt me.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That consolidation move that he can do is really, really big. I need to mute that notification. Mute.
So part of the reason I'm really looking forward to this tournament tomorrow is that this is this is basically the home store. This is the main store that, as far as I know, that Uncle Adam from Tabletop Tactics, when he talks about his friendly local gaming store, this is that store that I'm going to. And secondly, it's not a place I normally play. So I don't know any of the other guys playing there. So I'm going to be walking into a completely unknown. No, I don't know what the meta are. I don't know who the armies are. I don't know who plays what. I don't know what to expect out of my opponents. I get to go in there and just focus on playing my best game and trying to keep them from playing theirs. So, I'm either walking into a den of sharks, or I'm going to walk in and be pleasantly surprised.
They had the weapons mythos, but they always hit last. That's true. I do remember that it was still that way in 7th, that the Thunderhammers and whatnot always hit last.
Kaiser, yeah, they can shoot into melee now. But what's happening is, what I did with that fight was, yes, he could shoot into melee, but it was I killed 2 tank commanders and then charged up on a basilisk, and its weapons were blast, so it couldn't shoot. So he had to just kind of pull away from me, and didn't work well for him, not at all.
Had to make some decisions at that point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Raceland is teaching people how to play 40K tomorrow. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's going to be running a little bit of a tabletop simulator narrative campaign for a few of his friends. And if he gets an uneven number, I'm going to come in and play a 6th player, but I'm going to play a really bizarre, very lore-driven army. Something that's completely just lore silliness, because I want to play some models I don't get a chance to play often.
That's awesome. Atlas let me bring a list where I finally got to field like all 13 of my Thunderwolves in one list, including Logan Grimnar pulled by his 2 earlier this year. And that was just one of those things where it's like, here's the list in advance. I'm just doing something silly, and let's see how it plays out. And those can definitely be fun lists.
Yeah.
People definitely don't, they're definitely not meta-driven, that's for sure. But, sometimes knowing that you're playing a silly nothing list can be some of the more fun games.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And that's, honestly, it's real weird. Playing a lot of competitive games, I have really grown to have a greater appreciation for narrative lists and narrative games. It's funny. There were narrative games I'm like, this is not so great. This looks kind of nah. And after playing a bunch of competitive games, going back and rewatching those battle reports of these very narrative fights, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You know, it gives you a really different perspective.
Nice.
Like, you have Warhammer Plus?
Yes.
You know, I know a lot of people aren't happy about it, and a lot of people don't think it's worth the money, and I'm not going to get into that argument. I've got it. I'm enjoying it. I have to say, the 3 battle reports I've seen so far, I really enjoyed them.
Me too. Me too.
They're very slick put together, and the fights are very narrative. Yes, they're by the rules, but you look at those lists aren't made to be hardcore killer lists. They're lists that are made because, hey, we're going to show off some cool models.
I love Louise. Been a fan of hers for a couple of years now, like with Instagram and stuff like that. Under her Instagram handle is Savage Orc Guy.
Is Grumpy Guy in right now? Is he in the chat?
I haven't seen him. He might.
I wanted to give him a big shout out for her comments about how great his figures were on their live stream.
Big kudos to Grumpy Guy Gaming, who had his work shown off on the community, their community showcase, and it's his Titanicus stuff.
It was hilarious because the chat comments when they were showing his stuff is basically what it is when we see his stuff. I need to burn my brushes now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I mean,
well deserved too.
I actually went back and watched it. She was gushing about his blends. She was like, just look at the transition. Those are just so smooth. And she's an amazing painter. Oh my gosh.
She is. She's a phenomenal painter. Like I said, I've been a fan for a long time.
And she's a painter, not just a phenomenal painter. I admit there are some styles you're really good at, and I don't mean you, but I mean you can be really good at a certain style. I don't like it. I love her very bright, almost cartoony styled stuff the most.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Her orcs in that battle report, her paint job made me want to play Snakebite orcs.
Right. And her conversions too.
Yeah, it was just such a gorgeous list.
She's Ray says she's so good that her painting tutorials break my morale and also make me want to burn my brushes.
Man,
this is how you blah blah blah, just getting your brushes together in a little fire pit, and next you're going to. No, I'm just kidding.
Her black, she does on Warhammer Plus. She does a black armor tutorial that I actually sat down and watched because she shows how they do the heavy metal style of black power armor. And she made it look effortless. And I'm looking at that going, so this is what I would have to pay people to do, huh?
She's so good. Although I have to say, I love her personality and her artwork. But when I saw her list and his list, I was like, I see where this battle report's going.
Oh, yeah. I was like, huh.
And
well, she's going to get myrtleized.
And I'm sure it wasn't even intentional. It's just Patrick coming from a channel where they did competitive level battle reports for a long time.
Yeah.
It just comes natural to him, I'm sure. And it was a very toned down list for Patrick.
Yeah.
But it's still Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing. It's like, I'm looking at her list going, and it was funny. Ray and I were watching the battle reports together. It was worse with the Ultramarines versus Necron one. We were screaming at Peachy on how passive he was playing his Marines. I'm like, go, you gotta charge right there, charge, what are you doing? We were just going nuts watching him, just like, what are you doing? They're called aggressors for a reason. They're aggressive. Go charge with them, you no.
I see you've triggered Raceland.
Oh, we were screaming at the screen watching that. I was like, and that should tell you something right there. I enjoy battle reports. I really enjoy battle reports. I watch them all the time. I don't think I've ever gotten that interactive with one I'm watching on YouTube or anything. I mean, we were literally, and I mean this, literally screaming at the monitor, "What are you doing?"
See, I felt that way with the aggressors too, but then I also felt that way with like a couple of things that I wish Luis had done. But that just shows you they've put together a good enough battle report that we were invested watching it. You know,
yeah, exactly. I was like, and that was the thing. It's like you can complain about Warhammer Plus all you want for other aspects, but I got to tell you, their battle reports are on point. And that Lore Masters video on Abaddon, I mean, I've been playing the game 30 years and I've read a lot of lore, and I learned a lot of crap I did not know in a 15-minute video. That was better than a lot of the hour and a half long lore videos I've seen out there that are supposedly really good lore videos. That was 15 minutes that I don't regret losing my life to, you know?
Yeah, I've enjoyed almost everything I've seen on Warhammer Plus at the moment. And again, I know it's an unpopular opinion, and that's okay.
I have the unpopular opinion. I love Angels of Death. I love that. It's Space Marines meets Sin City. I'm good with it.
I love it. The only thing I wish, and I understand that the black and white is stylistic, but sometimes for me, it's so grimdark that I have trouble seeing and understanding what's going on. And I was like, I wish you could just brighten that up a little bit for me, because I wish I could see.
That is an honest thing. I think it'd bring the contrast up a little bit, bring the light up a little bit, it'd be better. My only real complaint, other than that, which when you pointed out, that is a little bit of a complaint. My only other real complaint about it, we have the technology. Would you please sync up the mouths with the talking? The mouths just don't look right. That's a minor thing, but sometimes when they're really up in somebody's face and they're talking and the mouth is just looks like it's just running all over the place, you're like,
And I did notice it, although, and this is just like personal, stuff. Having grown up with Kung Fu flicks, and Sentai, it was like normal for me. But I can understand where it's definitely an improvement area.
Yeah. Yeah. Ray wants it to be faster. He wants it to be faster. Like I said, I like it. I didn't want to take up too much time on that. I just wanted to, it's like the battle reports are amazing. They were really entertaining and they got me engaged. So, but Louise was just so much fun to watch.
She's very fun to watch.
Do this. And I'm just thinking, you know what? This is a narrative fight because there's no way you'd we're going to sneak your orcs. What are you doing?
That is, I think my favorite thing is her genuine excitement and enthusiasm for her orcs that you can tell. I mean, obviously, if you've been following her Instagram for a while, you already know. But you can tell just from her reactions that she's put the time and effort and whatnot into making them look a certain way. Like, she's playing models that she has put love into, which is awesome.
That Death Dread, the tribal marks all over the skull face plate on that Death Dread are something I aspire to. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, honestly, everything about her paint job is something I aspire to, but...
Brother Rob, what is up, my man?
What up, baby? That's the first place my thoughts went. I'd probably be very at home with that. Exactly. If you love old school martial arts flicks, the mouth moving probably doesn't even register. Like, actually, I watched it, and I think I had already seen the first 2 episodes before I'd seen anyone comment on that. And then I went back and watched it again. I was like, oh, I didn't even notice the first time. Like,
I honestly didn't notice it, and then Ray pointed out, and then I can't not but notice it on everything now. It's just like,
I'm going to hide over here with my contrast paints and terror. Old Baali was phenomenal. I loved Old Baali.
Yeah, I loved Hammer and Bolter so far. I mean, I think the only weakest episode they've had was the very first one, but everything since then has been really good.
Yeah, and that's something that I disagreed with. That one's tied up with Baelai for my favorite. Like, I really like the action scene of the assassins, but I mean, yeah, but that's just one of those things. Like, everybody's got their own taste, right? Taste
Exactly. That's like I've been talking with people about, like I said about Angel of Death. The whole dark black and white with just the red is the only color in there. I mean, to me, that shows I'm a 90s, I'm an 80s kid that was a young adult in the 90s, because that was the 90s aesthetic. It was like everything was black and white, except for the color of blood, it's just...
And honestly, like, when I'm looking at posters and stuff like that, that's an aesthetic I generally like. Because, like, I have a few pictures, wallpapers, and just art pieces that are black and white with one color. It might be a vibrant green or blue or red, and I like that art style in most things, but I think in something with action and moving parts, I have trouble tracking, which is a me problem, not a Nit problem.
I do agree. I think they need to bring the brightness up just a little bit so you can actually see what's going on, because there are times where it's just hard to tell. I mean, honestly, as awesome as Astartes was when the creator put it out, that was the one complaint, that there were times that it was so dark you couldn't see the movement, you couldn't see some of the details, and so you weren't really sure what was going on. So,
and with Astartes, I think also part of that is that a lot of the lighting was provided by special effects and muzzle flashes. And so you're kind of trying to read through the flashes to see what's going on. But overall, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, exactly, Rob. That's why I love. I love Angels of Death, because to me, it's like it's 40K Sin City. I mean, that's what it screams at me.
Exactly. If you haven't seen it, and you got a little time this weekend to listen to a great live show that, in post, Miniatures Paintbrush and Shameless Soul got together for a show earlier tonight, and I watched most of it until I started getting ready for this show, and it was really, really good show. And then Rob, while they're doing the live chat with each other, Rob is painting up, he's got his tutorial on in the background of him painting up one of his new models for Rain in Hell, which was just, again, a really good episode. And cool. I was like working on the tech stuff here and working on the thumbnail, but they kept talking about interesting stuff, so I had to keep putting down the phone and the keyboard so that way I could respond in the in their chat, just because, like I said, it was a good show.
Yeah, I gotta say, the episodes I've watched so far of his Rain in Hell battle reports, it just looks like a fun game. I mean, I want to pick up a copy of it. I'm thinking, just for something fun to do, drop some dice and go with it, so something to do with all these Slaneshi models I have lying around.
Gotta get the Slaneshi out. I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about something that you talked about on your show, and you've mentioned in the chat a couple times before, and I really got to $10 for the game. Nice.
Yeah. And it's made by two really good YouTubers.
Yeah. Vince Venturella and Uncle Adam.
Yeah.
So, Tabletop Minions. So, good stuff. So, I actually got to see it firsthand. You were talking about the different levels of terrain earlier, how some tables play with more terrain than other tables, and you got to account for that, right?
Yeah.
And I've been playing on a level of terrain, which, and you also mentioned that it's been kind of subjective. What is X amount of pieces? What is subjective? And the games I have been playing with other people, the Escalation League and here in the house, have been, kind of like to some of the example boards in the rule book, which is fine. And they've worked out great for me. But it was a more densely packed label last night, and I really feel like, don't get me wrong, my opponent was great, good, a solid Space Marine player, worked his psychic powers extremely well, had a good strategy. It was an impulsor bomb with, we're seeing a lot of now with the blade guard, the captain and lieutenant for the rerolls, and that impulsor bomb position themselves so that way they could very smartly be the closest to Gaz, deal damage in all three phases, shooting phase, melee phase, psychic phase, so that way it honestly burned down Gaz super quickly in like a turn and a half. Yeah. It was very efficient. So even though Gaz can only take 4 wounds a phase, doing damage in all three phases, they, like I said, they had a game plan and worked it very efficient, very smart. But that aside, like I said, not taking anything away from my opponent at all. My opponent played extremely well, but I definitely felt some of those limitations of terrain that you had mentioned before. Whereas I had both a truck and a bonebreaker, and squig cavalry, and a war boss on bike, and the table was so densely packed, I really struggled maneuvering. Because like I had like this much of my, an exit out of my deployment zone, I could get out onto the battlefield and trying to maneuver all that. You know, it definitely, I think, put me behind the 8 ball and left me in some bad positioning. So it was a more densely packed terrain table, and honestly, I didn't bring it up until we had already put our models down, and I was just asking for clarification of movement from our store manager, and they're like, "Oh, I had this mostly set up for display. You can feel free to move some of these pieces around and stuff like that." And I said, "You know what? We've already put our models down, and I don't want to adjust the table to give myself an advantage, you know. So I'm going to leave the table as is." And I definitely don't regret that. That was, I think, the right thing to do. I think. Yeah, adjusting the table to your advantage is not a fair way to play. But man, I definitely struggled to get to objectives. I feel like it was easier to screen me out trying to, because like, you know, combat, you have to be able to position yourself for combat, and by limiting my movement, you know, orcs were kind of stuck not getting into combat for the first turn. Well, I got into a small amount of combat, but I couldn't be where I needed to be.
Yeah.
And I got thoroughly screened out, so the only thing I could really kill in my assault phase was the impulsor, which is, again, brilliant screening from my opponent. Yeah. But definitely I can see where, like, jump packs, like Storm Boys, might have done me better than necessarily having so many things that couldn't get into buildings, you know. So.
Yeah. And that's part of the thing, is that... like, you look at the orc buggy build right now, the reason it's doing so well is you got the squig buggy, I think it is the Rucka truck,
with the indirect fire,
that doesn't need LOS to shoot.
Yeah.
So it can just kind of get somewhere and just start popping things off. And then there's the one buggy that teleports. I forget, I get the what is that, the boom blaster, the one that can teleport?
No, that's the shock jump.
The shock jump. So it can just get out there. It can teleport around. So that's what you're seeing from those. I was in a tournament a couple months, like a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, and we had a player drop out because he was playing Chaos Marines, and he brought a Falchion to the tournament,
which is a big boy.
It's a big boy,
thick with 2 C's.
It's a lot of points. It's a lot of damage, and he couldn't bring its guns to bear on anything in either of his first 2 games because he just didn't have anywhere to move with it. And I'm like, well, I mean, part of that was because I mean, I faced a guy that was playing a Lord of Skulls, a Brass Scorpion, and a chitin, whatever that thing is, basically the Lord of Skulls but with legs. That was his entire army, and I was playing against that, and he did just fine. And those things are big boys. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, there is going to be a point where, I mean, I know, like the tournament I'm playing tomorrow, we sit down and we're placing the terrain at the beginning of the game, and there's a set number of pieces for every table, and it's standard for every table, and they've got rules on placing them. Like, they can't be placed more than 3 inches closer than 3 inches to another piece of terrain, and they can't be placed over the top of objective markers. So, okay, so that'll work out, so that if you need to make sure you open some space up for yourself to get through, you can do that. When you're going with preset tables, I honestly think in a lot of cases on a preset table, unless they're specifically set up with the knowledge and knowing that they've got to be able to maneuverable, there's got to be, you sit down and go, there's no place for me to put my stuff unless this is the set table that everyone else is playing with. You should be able to ask the judge or the tournament organizer, you know, I can't even place my army properly. Or I can't even maneuver my army. I've got one spot to go through. Can we move some of this terrain? Is this allowable, or is this here for a specific reason? Because to shove an entire army where it's got to run through a 4-inch gap, and that's the only place you can get out on the board. I don't think that's. I think that's against the idea of what a war game is supposed to be, honestly. I mean, if it's supposed to be hard to get through areas, that's one thing.
Sure.
Because you can't target or destroy or remove terrain in 40K, it just makes it impossible to do things. I gotta say, in that same vein, in 30K, not 30K, in Age of Sigmar, you can destroy terrain, even if it's not paid for points terrain or something like that. You can bust terrain up. I was playing Age of Sigmar with my Slanesh army, and my Keeper of Secrets, as a monster figure, literally has one of their abilities and go, I'm gonna smash this building, and they just roll a die, and on like a tour up, the building is gone. They destroy the building. They keep it under to mark where the rubble is because it has an ability, but now the building is no longer there. It's smashed and out of the way. So I honestly think 40K, if they're gonna be this way with their terrain, until they come up with this is the static, some really hard rules about how much terrain and where you have to place it, rather than, again, leaving it to, that's fine for an open game, or that's fine for a narrative game. But when you're playing match tournament type games, there needs to be a standard. And if they're not going to set a standard, then they need to give some sort of option to be like, okay, I'm playing a Macarius tank. That's a piece of rubble. I'm going to shoot it, destroy it, and run over the rubble with it because I'm a giant tank that's actually bigger than that piece of terrain.
That would be pretty cool.
There's no reason a Titan, especially with the animations that they've shown where they do it, there is no reason that a Titan with a melee weapon, like even if it's just a regular, like a Knight Avenger, can't take that giant chainsword and get rid of a floor of a building so it can start shooting at the guys hiding on the other side of the building.
That would be really cool. I think Raceland's got a great point. The Falchion is low to the ground, like you said, a Baneblade chassis. Lord of Skulls and the Scorpion are set up a little higher, which I guess gives it better line of sight.
Yeah.
I think large things like monsters and Titan stuff should have the ability to destroy terrain. Oh, AOS has rules for that. That's cool.
That's what I was just saying. Like I said, my Keeper Secrets. I was playing a game, and there was a bunch of Stormcast archers sitting in a building, and I walked up to it with my Keeper Secrets and just knocked down the building and killed half the guys that are inside of the building. It's like, get out of here!
That's awesome. I misunderstood and thought you said that should be a thing.
No,
in AOS as well. I was like, oh.
No, it is in AOS. It's hilarious in AOS. They have this whole monster phase where monsters can do one of like 5 specific actions, and all things that are counted as a monster, which are all like big base things like giants and their equivalent of knights and whatnot.
I hear monsters are so good this edition.
They can do like a big stomp, and like they do mortal wounds to everybody in range of them, or they can do a bellowing scream and make people run away in fear, or they can knock over buildings. I love my Keeper of Secrets. She's a beautiful figure. She wrecks face in Age of Sigmar. It's wonderful.
That's awesome. Raceland said he said it first. If they really want to balance it, they could make it take the same effects as an action as it does for certain secondary. Oh, that would make sense. I can't do anything else this turn, but I'm gonna destroy this building. Now, I just want to be really clear about my game, because I want everyone to understand I'm honestly and truly not bitching in any way.
No.
My opponent played a great game, and I did make tactical mistakes. I was just bringing it up because, and those who don't know, between the comment section and then also when we've done some of these Friday painting sessions, he has talked to me about my list a few times before, and just said before to watch my list because sometimes certain tables are going to be too packed for the way I like to play. Yeah. Heavy cavalry, tanks, and stuff like that. Yeah, and so I wanted to bring it up because in this section, in this instance, he was absolutely right.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, if I could play my Imperial Guard the way I want to play my Imperial Guard, I'm going to have a buttload of Layman Russes.
Is that going to be a metric or Imperial buttload?
I'm going to go with, well, because they are the Imperial Guard, I'm going to go with an Imperial buttload of them, which is specifically 14 tanks. If I can run a list where I can put all 14 tanks in, because by the rules, as running Cadians in a match play game, you can do 14 Layman Russes, because you can have 3 squads with 3 tanks each. You can have 3 tank commanders, and then you can have Knight Commander Pask.
Awesome.
13. Yeah, 13 tanks. I would love to run that list. I have the tanks to run it. Just to be dumb, I want to run it. But on the boards nowadays, you couldn't do it.
I mean, but get together with someone like Ray or Kami or one of your friends down at the shop and set up a mission specifically for it. Like I said, Atlas was super cool about letting me take, let's come up with a game, specifically. You bring a tank list or, something that'll be good against cavalry, and I'll bring, an all cavalry, as many cavalry as I could fit into a list. Let's do something crazy.
That's kind of what I'm hoping to do when I run this narrative event thing I'm going to be doing battle reports for. I'm going to have some crazy lists.
Nice.
And because I'm going to put specific rules in place. Like, one of my friends plays Tau, and he has so many good Tau. And I want to do an indoor mission that's going to help him out a lot, because nothing with bigger than a 60 millimeter base and no vehicles. No vehicles unless they have a 60 millimeter base. So you can take dreadnoughts, but nothing bigger than that.
Did you just come on the show and say good Tau?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Good Tau.
I've kind of been hoping, because there are I was told 3 Tau players in this league. I was kind of hoping to get matched up with one of them, just to see if I've, everyone says that they're bad now, and
they are terrible.
For my fear of playing them, I just kind of wanted to just see how I do. And orcs are not my strongest army, but I'm like, how would I do?
I want you to find a Tau player before January, Mythos, and get a couple of games in with that Tau player before January.
Just to get over my gun shyness?
Right, because in January you're going to be sad again.
Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it would be better to not get the hope.
No, you want to go in there, you want to take your orcs, you want to crump some Tau, get your crumpings in. Get them while you can get them. You want to take your space wolves and you want to go play some Tau and run around and just chainsaw them to death. You want to take your white scars and just get in there and just level some Tau. Get your licks in now. I'm telling you. Every rumor mill I know and every guy I know that is in the industry is telling me that January will see the Tau get their book. And once they get their book,
Bracelet says that I'll schedule the game with the Tau, and then 2 days before, they'll get a surprise codex release.
You got 2 weeks after that codex. You get to use your old rules. Screw you.
It's gonna be like that meme, surprise, mother trucker.
I just need to get the boy to come down here and deal with his pet.
Oh, damn it.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's just the Tau. Right now, unfortunately, the Tau have two problems. And it's two very real problems. They don't have... I love Tau. Don't get me wrong, I love Tau. But the biggest problem with Tau right now is they have some great units. But they don't have the ability to stick. They're not sticky at all. So you can knock them off objectives and just bowl them over and take them out of objectives with just a little bit of smart shooting, and they're done. And they don't have the ability to charge and engage stuff. They charge in and then die, like the Guard do. That's why Guard have Bullgrins and Ogrins. Now, you can play Farsight and use your Crisis Suits, but your Crisis Suits don't really have melee weapons. As Mythos is famous for saying, I don't want to swing a bunch of AP0 weapons at you, and that's all they have. They have two figures that are going to hit you with anything with any AP.
Yeah,
and that's
those
only if you
Riptides.
take the relic. What you got there?
Oh, I just said damn Riptides.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just... And that's the problem. It's just, they're very shooty, and they don't have any way to stop melee, and right now, melee is really strong. Melee is really strong, except when it's not. And I say that because I look at freaking Mechanicus. Mechanicus is melee grotesque, but their just shooting is unstoppable. And Drukhari doesn't really use melee too much. I mean, they've got melee, but they don't worry about it. They just gun you off the table. Ugh. It's bad. It's bad right now. So get those Tau in before they become the masters of the gun and take over for the Mechanicus and the Drukhari, because they will.
I have been saying for a hot minute, can't we just enjoy this moment where, you know, they get their time in the barrel?
They need it.
You know, I should be taking my own advice and enjoying their time in the barrel.
You need to take those Squig Hogs and run them into some Crisis Suits and beat them into fish paste.
So I was excited about Squig Hogs, and they turned out to be better than I expected. They're really good. I'm really liking it. This is from a non-competitive person, by the way, so don't take him to a tournament and say Mythos told me trash. I mean, from my perspective as a casual player, they're really good. They do some pretty decent damage in both the shooting and the melee phase.
Can I tell you something from a competitive standpoint?
What's that?
They're considered one of the strongest units for the Orcs right now.
What?
The Squig Hogs, and the Rucka Truck are like ridiculous. Those Squig Hogs are they're so devastating, especially with their dude, their leader dude. They're just, man, they rough things up. They're really, and they're point efficient for what they do. And really, when you look at things from the competitive standpoint, honestly, that's what it comes down to. How many points do they cost, and how many points are they going to take off the table before they get taken off the table? In a perfect world, you want your points to be able to take off more than you spent on them.
Fair.
And I learned this in the harshest way possible when I had happened to me. I had a drop pod with 2 Devastator squads rocking 4 multi-meltas apiece, which is pretty cheap. Drop 9 inches away from my Leviathan Dreadnought and pop it off the table round 1 before I'd had a chance to even go.
Oh, man. That's the worst.
And then, when I charged him, he used a strat that the Iron Hands have.
The
I want you
Overwatch
to
on
picture-
5s?
Force.
4s?
Force. I want you to picture a group of 3 wolves with hammer and shield and a lieutenant with them charging at a group of multi-meltas. And the lieutenant reaches them with 1 wound left. That was ass. It was bad. It was real bad. Yeah, I mean, just run 18 squig hogs. I don't know if you can run 18, but I'll tell you what. If you can get 9, run 3 squads of 3, and put one of them big boys. Is it that knob on the big squig? Can he be a member of the squad itself? Because I haven't played them that much yet.
No, he's a separate unit, but kind of like some of the Marine combos you can do if you take him in a squad in a detachment that includes the hogs. He doesn't take up a slot.
Oh, jeez.
So he's his own separate unit. But
Yeah,
that really lends itself to be able to fit more of them in, because you can take, you know, a fast attack choice of the knob, you know, and then you can also take one with your squad to fit in extra knobs on squigs and do more mortal wounds. So the knob is just really good. And then, of course, the knob's even got the stratagem where you can deal the mortal wounds on the charge. Then if that kills the unit, declare a second charge and do it all over again.
Yeah, no, they're talking about them and the rocket trucks are like 2 of the strongest units the orcs have right now. Good morning, Elston Nation.
Elston Nation, absolute legend. Absolute legend. Who is currently, by the way, so those who don't know, Dana Howell, in her Discord, by the way, famous YouTuber Dana Howell. If you don't know her, feel free to look her up on the YouTubes.
Oh God, if you don't know who
She's
she
got
is,
a brilliant painting style. She's one, just like Louise, very vibrant orc painting style, which is just gorgeous. She actually a very vibrant everything. She also does night haunts and some other stuff, but she paints in a gorgeously vibrant style. But yeah, check her out on YouTube. Anyway, her Discord, she's had a little, she calls it miniature golf, but like miniature with miniatures. And I say that because, you know, I don't know about other places, but here we have, you know, what's called putt-putt or miniature golf. So I was just clarifying. But she's got something called miniature golf, where every time you you buy a model, or, you know, or obtain a model, your score goes up. And every time you finish painting one, or give away, or sell, or just relieve yourself of that model, your score goes down, and the person with the lowest score in her Discord at the end of the competition, which wraps up this week, I think, wins. And so Elstonation, I think, is currently, or was during his show, cruising for $1,000, I believe. And so he's going to be at like a -1,000 because he's not buying anything this year. And so I don't think anybody was prepared for having him in this competition. He broke the competition by 1,000.
I don't think anybody is prepared for Elstonation. I mean,
they weren't expecting a time traveling mother trucker.
I mean, I painted 550 models last year. That's a good January for Elstonation. I think that's your Elstonation fact of the day.
990 currently. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. $990 for the year, and it's September. That's crazy.
Oh.
I don't know. People are going to have to go watch his vlog throughout the year, because I don't know if anybody in the competition is going to believe him when he posts this.
Well,
yeah, I'm at a -1,000.
He's ridiculous. He's great. He's ridiculous.
They're going to make Elstonation public enemy #1 on that Discord server.
Well, I hate to say it, Mythos, we're getting up on 11:30.
Yeah, no, it's definitely time to call it. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that competition real quick.
Yeah.
Got to tap out. We are tapping out as well, guys. Any closing thoughts? This was a really good chat tonight, my brother. I really appreciate having you on the show.
Don't let the meta dictate what models you play. Don't let the meta dictate what models you love. Honestly and seriously. Just because they're strong doesn't mean they're great. It doesn't mean they're the models you love. If you're playing for the meta and straight for the meta, you're not going to be in this kind of channel anyhow.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, seriously, Mini Warmut, holy crap. He's got this magical ability to pop up just as I say, well, I'm about to leave. I'm Mini Warmut. Hi.
He's been here since Lady D was here earlier.
He was just silent then. Dude.
How is anyone prepared for Elston? You right. Oh,
but yeah.
5 more days. He's absolutely going to smash that.
Yeah, just play the models you love. I mean, paint and play the models you love. It doesn't matter what the meta says, because if you're not playing it at a competitive level, if you're not playing at some, professional level, play what you love.
Agreed.
And for me, that was my last match of the Escalation League. I finished actually even, because a win, a loss, and a tie. So I'm currently sitting flat even. So it's better than going negative, right?
Yeah.
But overall, I met some new people. I'm in a new Discord for local games. It's been a positive experience. So even though I'm not a competitive player,
did you learn anything?
Huh?
Did you learn anything?
Exactly. I learned some things. I learned some tactical mistakes that I can improve on for the future. I learned what you have been trying to tell me for a while about, taking into account for different terrain types. And most importantly, I had fun and got to meet a new group of fantastic players.
That's what this hobby's all about. That is entirely what this hobby is about. So good on you, my man.
Guys, I appreciate you all joining us for this Friday night chat. It's been awesome hanging out and having some fun with my brother here. Big thanks for you to coming on tonight. Lots of love out to Brother Freak, who, like I said, is burning the candle at both ends and working way too hard. And I hope he gets some R&R time and some hobby time in the future. If you guys enjoyed tonight's episode, make sure that you grab up an ox and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop us some comments down below if you're watching from the archives, and make sure to be part of any of these ridiculous conversations. And if you guys are not yet subscribed to the channel, then I know Freak would, and my brother Big Dee, and this guy would all love for you to be part of the pack here on the Frosted Fist. So check him out off the Gamecraft Dragon, which is down in the description below.
Tuesday nights, 7:30 Central U.S. time.
There you go. Check out all of my Chilling Network brothers who are also down below with the Gamecraft Dragon. And of course, hit that subscribe button here, so that way you can be part of our pack, part of our hobby family. Until next time, guys, stay frosty.
Stay frosty.